How would you do with the pleasure of hitting the lights, sir? Whoa. What are all those stains?
Blood, urine, or semen.
Oh, God, I hope it's urine.
I guess I'm here to send out the bat signal.
A bat signal, for listeners who might not know, refers to the children's character, the Bat Man, a strong gentleman who fights crime nocturnally.
That's correct. Well put.
I tell you, that is not a female!
Well, she's close enough for me.
There's a lot to start with about shipping, because I know a lot of fans were actually pretty invested in the idea of Natasha with actually either or both of you guys, and now obviously she's with Bruce. What do you guys make of that?
She's a slut.
I was gonna say something along that line.
Pretty horrible. Trick, man.
Hey, Ross, I was wondering if... Oh my God! Where are all the men?
What's going on, everyone? It's Lena Infinity. Welcome to my channel on this Wednesday, and I have here some very interesting and lovely guests this evening. Verbal Riot is here, and so is Script Doctor. Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
Good afternoon or good evening, depending where you are, I guess.
Yeah, or morning, I guess, somewhere
Or
it's
morning, yeah.
around the world. I don't know, because I guess we are a global show after all. People here from all across the globe. Daniel T saying, yay, I saw Space Kitty. I know, I love my background. He's like Space Kitty Cat. What's up, Verbal? Like, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. It was late night last night. Me and Chris Gore and Alan Ng from Film Threat. I went to go see a screening of Snow White, and then we did a late night stream after. So
I watched that. I was in the chat.
It was a rough evening.
You guys look like you had been like through hell. Like, I was like, wow, these guys, you didn't look good.
There was a range of emotions last night. Let's just put it that way.
I heard you say that you almost fell asleep a few times, but then I saw that you had also posted on Twitter that the gummies didn't help, and I was like, well, that's why you were falling asleep, because you're high.
Well, no. I mean, gummies don't usually put me to sleep. They just relax me, and so no, the movie is just very boring, and yeah, it was just rough to get through. I debated between either falling asleep or walking out, and I wrote it out. I felt like I was, you know how like in a rodeo you have 8 seconds to stay on the bull.
Yeah,
like that's how I felt with this movie. Like I was just like I was trying to stay on the bull.
Like, I gotta hang on, just a couple more. That's how I felt. Like, I think the last movie that made me feel that way, because I don't watch live action Disney movies, was Tenet, of all movies. Like, can you believe that? I was like, oh my God, I need to hang on. I'm falling asleep, and I can't understand a word these people are saying because you can't hear like the dialogue. I can't follow this movie. I'm falling asleep. I never thought I would be falling asleep in a Christopher Nolan movie about time travel. Like, what the hell's happening? But I feel you on that. Like, I was a little bit surprised. But this one, I heard also, because I watched Jeremy John's review, and he also said the same thing. Like, he said it was boring. He was like, there was like a couple kids in the theater that were like, yay, for like 2 seconds. And then they were like, silent. They're probably thinking the same thing, like, this is boring as shit.
You know, I almost felt like I wish they just would have kept the original version just to see how bad that would be, because at least if it's really bad I could have a good time with it, but no, it was just boring.
Ooh, okay, well, we're gonna get into more of that, because I really want to ask you a couple of questions, and I really hope the chat is okay with spoilers on this. I mean, it's not like this is a new IP anyway. I mean, it's Snow White. It's been around for a long time, so it's not like we're, we're spoiling that much.
It's a Snow White movie.
It's a Snow White movie. Okay, well, we're gonna be talking about that with spoilers. But before we do, Script Doctor is also here. Hello, how you doing, Script Doctor?
I'm doing okay. We've got beautiful weather where I am in Canada, so I'm very happy for that.
Yay.
It's sweater weather. It's pleasant. It's actually what the weather was like a little bit warmer when I was visiting down in LA and got to meet Dante in person, which was actually a lot of fun.
I'm so jealous, Dante, that you've gotten to meet Script Doctor. I still don't know what he looks like, but you do. So I'm a little bit. Is he as white as like his picture lets us to believe? I feel like
Even wider.
Yeah.
even whiter.
Oh yeah.
How is that even possible? My God.
You can
Okay.
see right through him.
He's transparent. Oh my God.
Pretty much. Like my skull is quite defined.
Oh my God. Yeah. 80-year spoiler alert. Exactly. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're also going to be joined by My Nerdy Home, Stephanie. So I'm going to try and hold off on talking about Snow White until she gets here, because I'm sure she has questions as well. But before we get there, I mean, there's been just so much stuff going on. And like the Daily Wire, did you guys hear about the Daily Wire? Is like the CEO
Yeah.
just kind of went, I'm out. Like he's just like, this shit, I'm out. Like, I don't know what to think about all of this because Jeremy Boring is kind of like, I'm bored of being a CEO, I guess. I don't know.
He's actually created the Daily Wire and has basically buried it over the course of his entire time. Like it had its peaks because it was basically parroting off of stuff at Fox News and very other conservative outlets. But much like with Hollywood, when we first saw him, we're like, you don't have the wherewithal to actually be successful in this industry. And even though he got lucky and he partnered with Ben Shapiro, who definitely knew how to market himself around, he's been a guy who's always wanted to be in the entertainment industry club, but he doesn't have the imagination. He doesn't have the fortitude to do it. Look no further than his Lady Ballers movie, which conceptually should have been a hit, but it was executed in the most trite, derivative, boring way ever. To the point where like I'm the first person to talk about that movie and since the weekend after it came out. Like that is how bad it is.
Yeah, and I remember like unfortunately, a lot of the conservatives were kind of trying to like build up the movie. They were like, yeah, it's so fucking great. Like, and then like literally like a week later, nobody was talking about it. And I was like, can't have been that great if nobody's talking about it. Because I mean, at least What Is a Woman and the other one, like what was the other one?
Am I racist?
Am I Racist? I was gonna say the racist one. I don't know. Am I a Racist? Yeah, that one. At least the Matt Walsh ones, people like kind of talked about a little bit later. The only Daily Wire movie I've seen, other than those two, is the Gina Carano one. And the only reason I watched it was because I like Gina Carano and I kind of wanted to support her after the hell she went through with Disney.
Right.
What's up, Stephanie? Don't you have the link? Did I not send you the link? Did I pull a Cecil?
Well, the one thing that you have to remember is that that movie that Gina Carano was in was actually already in the works, and Daily Wire just actually helped co-finance it as an independent. It wasn't their in-house type of thing, which is probably why it stood out to be, fairly good, because these were actually people who worked in the industry, who proved themselves, and of course, like left the industry, especially as it's gotten a lot more extreme, or at least at that time got a lot more extreme. Before now, it seems to be on a horseshoe track back to a bit of reasonable decisions, but it's going to still take a while. But it was, it's actually had something to it. Again, Daily Wire, it's a news outlet that has been heavily scrutinized, justifiably so every single news outlet needs to be scrutinized, but it doesn't offer anything more, kind of like the legacy media at this point. And when it does try to delve into the entertainment sector, it actually fails completely. Like, they just did a cartoon show with like Adam Carolla that nobody has talked about.
What?
I even think it's
really?
got like Roseanne Barr in there as a voice and everything, and it's terrible.
I had no idea. I had not heard about this until right now, like right this moment. That's crazy. You know who else was talking about this? I'm gonna pull this video up so we can kind of watch it. Because I mean, Ian Carroll, I don't know if you guys are familiar. He was just on Joe Rogan talking about conspiracy theories, but he's been kind of talking about the Daily Wire for a while. I think he was like one of the first people who broke the story about Brett Cooper leaving even before she left. Like he was like, I've heard rumors that she's going to leave kind of thing. So this is a little bit interesting, and the stuff that you were saying, Script Doctor, about Jeremy being like wanting to do a Hollywood thing, I had no idea about, but Ian also kind of says the same thing, so that's interesting. So here we go. We're gonna watch what he has to say.
The Daily Wire.
A lot of rumors, by the way. Just everything like take with a grain of salt, obviously. Okay, here we go.
Is going bankrupt allegedly, and Jeremy Boring is officially out as CEO. That's right. The self-proclaimed God King of the Daily Wire.
By the way, how cringe is it when somebody proclaims themselves God King? I mean, that's just kind of funny. Like, I always said LeBron James was kind of cringe because he kind of self-proclaimed himself the king. Like, he was like, I'm the king. I'm King James. Like, you can't do that to yourself, man. Like, you got to be named that. Like, people got to, like, through your legacy.
Tell you that, not you.
Exactly. And I was always like, that's cringe. That, I mean, like, when he did it too, like, I mean, he was at his height in the Cavaliers, and I was like, all right. I mean, you got something there, but still, people got to name you that. You can't do that to yourself. That's weird.
Is at the heart of so many scandals. And yes, he is self-described as the God King. And the email just went out today internally that he is stepping down, and now Axios is covering the story. It has not yet broken, as far as I'm aware, that private equity is moving in and looking to buy up the Daily Wire. I heard, rumor mill, that Silver Lake Capital is looking to buy them up. And Silver Lake, you guys might want to watch this video before you think too hard about it, because there's a lot that is not in the public square right now. We're about to get into stuff like canceled credit cards, lying to the press, trying to trick Tim Pool. As far as I can tell from my sources, even...
What's up, Stephanie? I'm so sorry that I didn't send it. You know what's funny is I was going down the list. I was like, who did I send the link to? Because I sent the link to somebody, and I was like, is that not Stephanie? So I'm sorry that I pulled a Cecil and didn't send you the link.
No, that's okay. I was like, oh, maybe she canceled it.
No, I had not. No. So we're talking about the Daily Wire and how Jeremy Boring was like, peace, I'm stepping down as CEO. And Ian Carroll's kind of going through that. So we're watching this.
People inside of the Daily Wire only know part of the story, and they're all kind of getting played against each other. It's a whole mess. And the most important part of this mess is that the Daily Wire has a long history of treating their employees like shit. And so I've had numerous sources inside the Daily Wire for quite some time because everyone hates them, even their own people. Wow. That's not to mention the numerous sources outside.
Isn't that so crazy? And I mean, we can kind of verify that if you kind of keep track of the things that Daily Wire has done. Like, I mean, obviously we know the thing with Brett Cooper, Candace Owens. I mean, those are big figures that this has happened to. But then before that, Steven Crowder came out with that whole thing about, the contracts and how terrible the contracts were. So it all kind of checks out, which is that's unfortunate.
The Daily Wire that did not take the NDA money on the way out. Like, I had people literally in my comments on Instagram offering to give me dirt on the Daily Wire because they hated the Daily Wire so much. It's out of control. And it all centers around the God King and his fucking massive ego. And his lifelong desire to be a famous actor.
Isn't it so bad? Oh, okay, so here's where he's talking about his desire to become a famous actor. This is kind of cringe, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Jeremy Boring is a cringe person. I mean, I've seen him act. He's bad.
Dude,
I only saw him in Lady Ballers. Like, that's it.
I've seen his commercials.
First commercials and everything. Like, he's really there's a reason he was not allowed in Hollywood, and it was based mostly on merit as opposed to his politics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his commercials are so cringe. And then it's funny too, because the other, I remember before this happened, he came out and he said he made some tweet and he was like, I spent what was it? Some ridiculous amount of number. Don't quote me on this number, but he was like, I spent what was it, $2 million, some crazy number on a commercial. Now I'm gonna just use AI. We did it for $60 now or some shit like that. And I was like, the fuck is this guy talking about? How much money did you spend on a commercial? Because that's not how much you're supposed to spend when you're an alt media. You're not supposed to spend that much money on a commercial, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
actor and make it in Hollywood, which he failed at originally years and years and years ago. And so once the Daily Wire was off the ground, he just couldn't help but try to turn the Daily Wire into a Hollywood movie studio and produce the Pendragon series. Note that this article is from 2023. And he said,
by the way, he also, speaking of Snow White, which we're going to be talking about soon, he also wanted to make a Snow White movie starring Brett Cooper, which will now probably never come to be.
Which mysteriously got canceled the moment that she announced that she was getting engaged. I'll point that out too.
Oh, is that when it got canceled?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
actually, she also got booted out of Daily Wire, that left the Daily Wire around, not long after she got engaged. So, I mean, that's also something you have to kind of think about. Again, Jeremy Boring, despite the values he preaches, still has or emulates, allegedly, the habits of some of the more independent and nefarious producers in Hollywood.
That's really interesting that you say that, because that's kind of what it seems like. It's like he's against all this stuff, yet it's almost like he's like Ryan Reynolds, like a major narcissist, like where narcissists usually project their own narcissism on like other people.
Well, at least Ryan Reynolds has a talent to back it up. I mean, this guy.
That's true. That is true. I'll give
not
Ryan
at all.
Yeah. Although Ryan Reynolds has somewhat of a talent, like he is a one-tone kind of guy. Like,
sure, no, absolutely.
Once you watch something with Ryan Reynolds, you're like, oh, that's just Ryan Reynolds. He plays himself and everything.
That is true. I guess with Ryan Reynolds, it's more like at least you can expect a return from him, right?
Yeah.
Where with this guy, not at all.
He's like a modern day John Wayne in the sense that he's got the one character that can be put into other films that people go see. But he's definitely a lot more ethical than John Wayne, who, don't get me wrong, he did divorce his wife after many years to marry someone hotter and more exotic. But, he's just part of that old school, it looks like.
Said that he had dreamt of bringing this book to the screen for 25 years. It was due to stream exclusively on Daily Wire Plus in 2024. Why didn't that happen? That's a good question. And that leads to us talking about all the Daily Wire's employees' credit cards getting frozen, allegedly. Just to first set the stage, though, producing a Hollywood movie is like a huge multi-million dollar undertaking. It is not the same as filming Ben Shapiro talking really fast at liberals. So I've actually been collecting information on this story for quite some time here. And now that it has officially broken in the news, I think my sources are a little safer to talk about this, because they're portraying it as though Jeremy Boring is willingly stepping back to work on creative projects like the Pendragon cycle, and that he'll remain with the company in an advisory role. My sources are telling me that the Pendragon cycle is being moved off-site and out of the Daily Wire's physical purview because they're not letting Jeremy Boring back in the building right now, apparently.
What?
Jeremy Boring was 100% allegedly.
That's kind of crazy. I mean, that's kind of like the kind of shit that happened with the Veritas guy. They weren't letting him back in the building.
So wait, was this like a coup then or something? Like, how did he get out?
Sounds like.
Yeah,
That's what it's sounding like. And it's from what I'm hearing also, the Petersons are not happy about what has been happening as well. So it's very dramatic.
Forced out, not a willing leave. And that's because this financial problem has been going on for years. They had recently had to table all projects and do a hiring freeze because there was no money in the bank, allegedly. All the way back in 2023, Jeremy and Ben Shapiro apparently had to put money into the Daily Wire, their own personal money, to rescue it. That money has not been reimbursed, and it is all gone. The Pendragon cycle is over budget by like $50 million or something, allegedly. And at the end of 2024, this problem got so bad that Jeremy Boring apparently started lying to the press to try to drum up interest for a sale. This is when conveniently it leaked that Fox News was considering buying the Daily Wire. That was never in the works. That was just to try to drum up interest so that hopefully someone else would rescue their asses. Ouch. I've heard that the Murdochs actually personally hate Jeremy Boring, allegedly, just like pretty much everyone else. Like even Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring, it sounds like there's a huge rift between them from what I'm hearing. There's even rumors that I can't confirm quite yet that Ben Shapiro hired his own PR person like months ago. Brett Cooper was basically like their last profitable endeavor right now. I assume they make a little bit off Matt Walsh, but I'm not quite sure and I can't confirm. their election coverage during the 2024 election.
Isn't Michael Knowles also on the Daily Wire?
That's what I thought, but
yeah,
I thought he was. Yeah, I thought it was like him, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and Brett Cooper. I thought they were all.
I
Daily
think
Wire.
so. So I believe that guy, Michael Knowles, also brings in a good chunk of viewership anyway. I mean, I don't know how much money he brings in, but he has a very steady viewer base, and he's pretty based. Like, I mean, I like his stuff.
Well, he's very, very conservative, but like
Yeah.
Michael Knowles, I think out of the 4, let me double check because I thought that Michael Knowles out of the 4 had like, I guess, like the smaller viewership, but I could be wrong.
No, you're probably right because it was Brett Cooper was actually their biggest one, I think, and then
she was a beast.
Yes, yeah, she had millions of views,
and then Ben Shapiro, but he has like that very Jewish base that love him very much.
I have noticed that since Brett Cooper has left the Daily Wire, that we're seeing a lot of like women guesting on like Ben Shapiro show and Michael Knowles show to talk about like topics like Brett Lively, right? Like those types of conversations. They'll bring other women on to talk about that. I have noticed that they've been doing that a little bit.
But what about Brett's replacement? Like, how's she doing?
She's not working out.
A lot of backlash. Hold on, wait. I actually have her channel pulled up because I was going to talk about her, but let me see.
Yeah, she's not working out as far as I know. I mean, he's going to get into it a little bit too, but I mean, like she kind of crashed and burned, man. Like, because you can't take somebody's show and then be like, we're just going to do it with somebody different.
Yeah, no, I get it. And you know what? Like, and to be fair, she didn't really get a fair shot. Like if they really wanted, if they wanted to set her up right, they would have gave her own look, her own show.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been taking over for Brett. They set her up to fail. So
it was the exact same thing.
They should have just like gotten rid of that show.
Yeah, it was the exact same thing. It was the strangest thing. It was like Brett Cooper left and it was like a clone replacement. And this girl was supposedly her best friend. She had the headphones, the same set. If they wanted to replace her, they should have like made it her show, tailored around her. Like the reason Brett Cooper did so well and it was like called the comment section was because, you know, she was young and it gave the impression of this girl in her dorm room, you know, with her big white headset commenting on news and reporting on news and giving her opinion, right? It was a young girl, but this girl now is a lot older, right? So it was like the set should have matured a little bit.
Yeah.
And it didn't. She just sort of took over for Brett and started speaking like Brett, started doing a lot of like, you know, arm movements like Brett. It was just a clone of Brett Cooper and people were completely rejecting it. And they still are. Like Brett Cooper's channel, oh my gosh, I keep going to the wrong tab, has 1.42 million subscribers already. And every single video gets at least at the very least over 400,000 views. Like the one she posted 2 days ago is her least viewed one with 275,000. Every other video is over 400,000. The comment section, where did you go? Has been losing subscribers for one, but the videos barely crack 50K.
Damn. Yeah, like it's so it's when you said like Brett has that like thing, it reminded me of that Friends episode where like Phoebe and Monica are talking. And she's like, I'm so happy and not jealous at all. Like, so happy for her and not jealous. Maybe 10% jealous.
Yeah.
But
like,
it's
the views that she's getting is not views for almost 4 million subbed channel. Like she's got 17,000, 18,000, 23,000, 20,000, 19,000. People are completely rejecting this new host.
Yeah, Brett was the golden goose, man. I mean,
yeah, she was.
You know what they should have done is like they should have kind of taken the Blazes blueprint of how they kind of dealt with that other show with Sydney Watson and Elijah Schaefer. I forget what that show was called. But when they left, like when they broke up and they left and they finished the show, Alex Stein took over the show and they built him a whole new stage. They just gave him the channel with the same numbers, and then they changed the name, and now it's like, Pimp on a Blimp or whatever he's called it, and it's his show, and people love it. Like, people watch Alex Stein all the time. They should have done something similar with her. Like, here's your show, here's your set, here's everything. This is this is yours now. We're just gonna, move everything over.
Well, it goes back to what we always say about like authenticity, right? I mean, people want things to be authentic, and her taking over Brett's show wasn't authentic. Like that, it was the opposite of authentic. It was it was curated.
It was very curated, and like aside from Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro has a little over 7 million subscribers, the comment section was the next highest viewed. Like from those commentators, she was the next highest viewed.
Wow, I was gonna say catered, and then it's curated.
Yeah, and like even catered. Like Michael Knowles, Michael Knowles has the smallest with. I mean, I'm saying like smallest, right? Like million subscribed channel, but his was 2.27 million. But like his channel, some of his stuff gets between 50 and 200K views. So like he's not. He's not as big as these other newscasters. Oh my gosh. Commentators. Jesus.
I understand. I understood you.
Yeah.
Absolutely bombed. Sounds like just like most Daily Wire products, they dropped a shitload of money into production and did not nearly recoup the costs. So then you remember when Tim Pool was like kind of like rearranging his business and all sorts of weird stuff was happening there? I don't even know if Tim knows this yet directly, but it sounds like the Daily Wire was trying to manipulate him into buying the Daily Wire and trying to present it as super profitable. The rumors I'm hearing is that Jeremy Boring thought Tim Pool would be dumb enough to fall for it, and he was the exact kind of guy they could sell to. I heard that they allegedly offered him an all-stock deal, which would be worth fucking shit because their stock is fucking worthless because they're bankrupt, allegedly. So props, Tim, for not taking that deal. That would have been a huge mistake. Because now my sources told me like a month or two ago that the Daily Wire froze all the credit cards of all the Daily Wire producers. And they were like pretending it was a new accounting system trying to cover up what was going on, allegedly. But it sounds like apparently the Jeremy Boring's entire network.
I love how he has to say allegedly every time. It's like allegedly. Because like the Daily Wire is known for suing people, that's for sure.
As a smokescreen, and that he's trying to renegotiate contracts with people like the Petersons to try to leech as much money out as he can to just keep the books looking balanced. It sounds like Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson, their whole team has been really weirded out by this and is not stoked. I haven't talked to them directly, but it doesn't sound like they like him at all. So anyways, rumor is that Silver Lake is one of the primary private equity firms coming in looking to buy them up. And Ken, Mike, Egon, Greg, Joe, you might want to do a little more due diligence about the books before you make that purchase. Looks like your last investment, according to Wikipedia, was in 2022. This would not be a good way to come back onto the scene. That is just my opinion based upon what I'm hearing from the inside. Based on the chatter on the, shall we say, wire, it sounds like there's no money in the bank, so to speak, and they're not making profits. There's a difference between revenue and profits, and Jeremy has been doing a lot of finagling over the years to try to make it look really good. And realistically, do we even want the Daily Wire to be saved? Like opinion time? Don't we want to see Matt Walsh break out of the Daily Wire and do his own thing? And Matt, don't you think you'll do way better on your own than with the Daily Wire at this point? Like even Jordan Peterson, who a lot of people...
I don't know if Matt Walsh would do better on his own.
I don't either, actually.
Without the Daily Wire. I'm not gonna say it. I don't know. But he's just very unliked in several places, including like the nerd fandom. Like he's just so out of touch when it comes to a lot of different things. So I just don't know if he's gonna be that popular.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, even in like certain like conservative circles, Matt Walsh isn't, looked favorably upon.
No, not really. What's up, Camelot? How you doing, bud?
Well, because he's a like a traditional conservative. I think that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has his views, and he'll rarely sway on them. Like he'll really.
You have to remember that Matt Walsh is playing a traditional conservative. He does not let people in close to the chest. He didn't even use his real family in his own documentary, which is, I think, a smart move to do.
That is smart.
But the other part too is that he has a lot of bad takes when it comes to actual like culture and pop culture itself. And he's also basically one of the targeting people that a lot of, especially people who are a little bit right of center, point to as the reason why you don't have a whole lot of conservative people vying for the culture war or being creative in the culture war. And that's because a conservative like Matt Walsh has zero imagination.
Yeah,
like
zero.
He just doesn't have it. It's all, everything is superficial, face value. The nuance isn't even there. And that's why his movie, Am I Racist? Again, really great concept, and he gets the right people involved. But when he is trying to be funny, he is cringeworthy.
Ugh, so
because he has no imagination.
Terrible.
He can only go for the straight. He can only go straight for the jugular. And yeah, it'll placate people on the first watch. But I don't see people talking about that documentary or that mockumentary in the same way that you would see other mockumentaries about other social issues, especially like even Layla Hart's documentaries, which are great. They do throw in some good jokes in there. They're like, oh, I can go back and watch that again for that joke. Matt Walsh can't do that.
No,
he's very dry.
Perspectives have changed on over time lately. Like even he would get a fresh start if he just got away from this shit mess. This is like enigmatic of the times we're in, where even the alternative media has been bought out by big money and played in the same big studio mindset that is just completely contrary to what the new media revolution is all about. The way Jeremy Boring thought he could just replace Brett Cooper with her producer and act like nothing had ever changed and the same audience would stay there, that is enigmatic of this old way of thinking, that the peasants just want to be entertained and you just put programming on their TV and they're guaranteed to watch it. That is not how it works. People subscribe to stories, they subscribe to people, they subscribe to authenticity, and the Daily Wire is the embodiment of an inauthentic, bad storyline that treats all of its people horribly. And I normally try to avoid breaking stories, but it is literally a colander over there. And there are so many leaks pouring information out of the Daily Wire that I cannot keep this shit out of my inbox if I try. And speaking of inboxes, rumor has it that when the Daily Wire took Brett Cooper's TikTok account, a month or so ago, the rumor is that they were trying to read her DMs because they thought that she had leaked the Brett Cooper story to me directly, despite I had never talked to Brett Cooper at all in my life at that point. That shit made me giggle because that shows just how disconnected Jeremy and his people are from reality. Like, bro, if you treat everyone in your company like absolute trash, they're not going to respect you and they're not going to protect you. And when you wrong them over and over and over again, it's inevitably going to wind up on the internet. So let this be a lesson to all of us. The internet is a force that ultimately
No,
no.
Was I don't even know who this guy is, but yeah, he's not wrong. Was there a huh?
His name is Ian Carroll. He was just on Joe Rogan a couple months ago. He's like a very interesting like conspiracy theory person, and like he became famous by doing a lot of videos like this. Like he would just do like TikToks where he would just like different things down, and that's how he became famous. Like he went viral. But he's been doing this for a long time.
Okay. And like, was there, did he have a leaked story about Brett Cooper?
Yes. Before it happened, he said there's rumors that she's going to be leaving. So that was like way before she left. And then like when she left, she was like, everybody was just like, oh my God, like, she's leaving. And I was like, I heard that from Ian Carroll that he was leaving. But, it was like a rumor. It was a rumor that was like going around for a bit. But
yeah, he's not wrong. Like once you,
that's right. Allegedly.
But yeah, he's not wrong. Once you've wronged someone like over and over, you continue to do it, they just lose respect for you. And what reason do they have to protect you after that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, and again, we just talked about this. The Daily Wire is famous for treating people like shit. So it's kind of, it all checks out. It
skews towards authenticity, towards honesty, and towards open discussion. And if your business is modeled on this old way of controlling information, of big money payments, of treating people like property, and of just shitting all over your audience, allegedly, you're not going to last. So anyways, tell me in the comments,
So yeah, there we go. That was that's the story, allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's just wild to see like the Daily Wire implode like this. Like this is, I mean, and I guess it's been going on for a long time. But I guess now, you know, the chickens have come home to roost, and
it started with that whole Steven Crowder expose. Like it was like the domino effect. Like first, like he came out with that whole thing, then Candace left, then Brett left. Then
well,
it was
it seems like he doesn't
this.
really have his business like interests at heart. He's sort of like putting his own self-interest before the business. Like that's what it sounds like. So if you're doing that, then of course your business is gonna fall apart.
Yeah, he sounds like a con man, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, yeah. But I guess he's not quite like, from what I understand though, he's not quite like gone. Like he's going to that creative section of the Daily Wire because he still wants to do this Pendragon thing or whatever. I don't know, but I guess they're like, listen, buddy, you've been losing us way too much money, so you need to like just stay the fuck away from everything else. Like you can't call the shots.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh. So when I saw Brett Cooper's tweet yesterday, I was like,
oh yeah, we should pull that up. So
yeah, she threw crazy shade, man. I was like, wow,
that was so funny.
I love a petty princess, man.
Oh, me too. Here, I have it.
I do.
I'll put it in the private chat, Nina.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then where's Candace Owens? Because Candace Owens put something out too. Let me find it.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. I saw like Abby Libby comment on this and was like, classless Brett. And I was like, how is that classless? Like, I don't get it. But this is what she put. This is this GIF.
I love it. I love it.
I love it too. That's funny. That's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how was that classless, man? I mean, come on.
That's not classless at all. She didn't even say anything. She's just like,
it's totally legit for like someone her age to put that out there.
Very.
But also funny. Someone who was wronged by the guy, man.
Exactly. Like, exactly.
Yeah.
She
didn't even say
is she under contract? Like she can't say anything anymore?
Yeah, NDA. She has an NDA.
Like not 100% because she took money, which basically said that, okay, for you to have this money, you're under an NDA for however many years or in perpetuity. And if that's what she did, then yeah, she's legally liable she's legally liable if she breaks that. So for now,
this isn't breaking it. Like
No.
she's literally not saying anything. She's just like,
just a smile.
like that's funny. This is funny. Did you put the other one there too? For Candace?
I'm looking for it. She retweeted Brett Cooper though.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Like the replies too was so funny. Everyone's like,
I need to watch her show because she put this out. Wait, where's that? She just talked about how like a year ago she was tossed out of the Daily Wire. Oh my god, where did it go? Oh, life comes at you fast, and then she was going to discuss it, but she put this here.
Who are you talking about, Candace or Brett?
Candace.
Oh, Candace. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, Candace. Watched this movie on repeat last year when the media tried to destroy me and everything I had worked for over dissenting opinion. Felt like I was up against the empire of libels and smears.
Yeah.
We never knew you existed.
I've never seen this movie.
At all.
Oh.
The world will know that free men stood against a tyrant.
Can you guess why?
That few stood against many.
Zack Snyder.
And before this battle.
No, it's because they make Persians look bad. I'm not gonna watch this bullshit.
Zack Snyder.
I mean, that's another valid reason, but yes.
Yeah. Immediate answer, Zack Snyder.
That even a god.
That was good though. That was funny. I should have said yes. That's funny. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Wow.
What do you guys want to talk about now? Should we
I
talk
have to bounce. Like I told her I couldn't stay for very long. Yeah, because I have.
Okay. Well
Mario
then,
Kart. So
then you're
sorry I was late. But
it's okay. You're off. That was my fault. I didn't send you the link. You're the best. Thank you for being here, Steph.
Yeah, I wish I could stay longer.
See
I
you,
wish
Steph.
you would too. See you
Take it easy.
later. Go win. Yay. Okay, let's talk about your review of Snow White. I'm so excited. Okay. So chat. This is going to be a spoiler review of the 80-year-old story of Snow White, which has been turned into live action with starring Rachel Zegler. Au revoir. Goodbye. So yeah, if you're, we're going to be talking about that for a minute. So if you guys are not interested, come back in a few minutes, or you can mute us or something. But Dante here went and fell on the sword for us all. So my first question, Dante, I'm just going to take it to the crux of the matter here.
All right.
Do we get a kiss that awakens her by a man?
We get a weird peck on the side of her lips, which is really weird, that wakes her up. By a man, sure. Sexually ambiguous man, but no.
Wait,
look,
what do you mean by that?
So so she doesn't fall for a prince. She falls for the leader of the bandits, right?
Okay.
And the leader of the bandits has a heart of gold, blah blah blah. And
so instead of a prince, he's getting like a homeless man. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, well, he's like a theater kid who hasn't made it yet, so he's sleeping on his friend's floor. So anyway, yeah, she gets a side kiss, like a really weird kiss, and that wakes her up from her coma or whatever she was in.
Wow. Okay. So then we didn't get like, because when we were talking about it on Toxic Fam, like at first I came up with like this idea that like the dwarves were gonna do like some sort of magic Reiki on her because they're like the magical creatures or whatever, or like, that's how they're gonna wake up, but she's gonna wake herself up in some way, like she's gonna like, I don't know, for some reason, like do some dream sequence or something and then kiss herself and be like, I'm married to myself now because I'm great.
That might have been the original plan, to be honest with you. Because you got to remember they reshot this like 5 times. So
yes. And so this was actually because I like, Tom wanted to take a bet last Monday, and now see, I wish I should have taken that bet, because I told him, I was like, listen, these reviews that are coming out, because the ones that were like, coming out a couple days ago with the Shill reviews, they were all like, this is an amazing movie. It is an adaptation of Snow White. Like they kept saying that, like it's like this weird kind of like it's an adaptation, like they didn't do some weird shit, right? So I was like, it seems like as if they went and reshot it to kind of make it so that we get the classic ending, so that they're like, the YouTubers were wrong, like everybody was wrong, like we're not gonna make it so that it's about her being fair, brave, and true, and like being the not like the love's first kiss is not, or true love's first kiss is not going to wake her up, kind of thing, Oh,
don't get me wrong, the movie is still about her being the leader she's supposed to be.
Okay, but like still, you get
that plot is still there, but they weaseled in a makeshift love story to kind of pacify the critics. So
I think they did it for sure for the critics, for like the online critics. When I was watching the Jeremy Johns review, he mentioned that this bandit, not camp, but like the weirdos that we saw.
Yes, the homeless hipsters that
homeless hipsters. Let me bring up a picture of the what was a Snow White homeless bandits. Let's see if that comes up on Google. Yes, it does.
Wait, diverse homeless bandits, by the way. Very diverse.
Very diverse homeless bandits. So it turns out that these guys, I literally typed that in Google and it came up. This is just these guys So it turns out these guys are in the movie, and I guess there's a midget, which
Yes.
is
There is a midget, and ironically, he was not one of the dwarves.
yeah. You know what? This would offend me if I was a little person, because I would be like, wait a minute. So we're good enough to play a bunch of homeless, weird thieves, but we're not good enough to play the magical
One of the
dwarves.
7 dwarves, right? It's like you hire a dwarf, but you don't use him for the role that he should be cast in. Okay.
I would be so offended if I was a little person. I'd be like, okay, so I can be a homeless, hippie, freaking thief or whatever, bandit, but the actual role of a lifetime for little people, the 7 dwarves, I can't be that. That is so insane to me.
Well, what's even more insane or crazy was watching these people that you're looking at right now fighting armed guards, right? Guys with swords and shields.
Oh no. That sounds funny.
Yeah, I mean, there were times, and I told Chris, because like Chris kept looking over at me like I thought he wanted to go, and I was like, dude, we can't go. we got to write this out, man. Like we can't leave.
This is so crazy because okay, so this is what Jeremy Johns was saying though. He was saying about these 7 the 7 hippies, the 7 bandit hippies, that when she like leaves the dwarves, she runs into these guys, and then like so the movie feels like he said something really interesting. He says the movie feels like there's 2 different movies, and then they just kind of mesh together. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your perspective on that. Does that feel like there's 2 movies here?
Yeah, because there's times where you're watching it and it's almost like you could tell they were going to go a different direction and they didn't. It was weird because it felt like it feels like the dwarves are there, and they initially had more story to them, or they were going to do more things with them, and then they just disappear, and then she's just hanging out with the hippies, right? So it was like a weird cut where I'm like, okay, so I guess we're done with the dwarves, or
is it the budgeting? Because I mean, like 3D animation takes a lot of money. Like, do you think they just ran out of money and they were like, you know,
well,
what?
after like 4 reshoots, yeah, you know, and those dwarves are expensive, man. Like I'm sure that CGI, as horrible as it was, I'm sure it was pretty expensive.
Yeah,
it
I
would
would.
been cheaper to just do prosthetic makeup to look similar to the original cartoons in live action form on the dwarf actors themselves.
Yes.
Than whatever they did.
It would have been cheaper to hire just actual little people. And what's crazy is me and Alan were talking after, we're like, the dwarves didn't do anything that like the CGI dwarves didn't do anything that was so crazy that an actual little person couldn't have done, like an actor, right? And they could have saved money. It would have been more realistic. By the way, those dwarves were nightmare fuel, man. Like they took me out of the movie several times where I'm just like, I can't look at them. I can't even look at them.
You know what I found interesting about that though is that like literally all the shill reviews that were like, this is a great movie aside from the dwarves. This is a great movie.
They can't keep lying. It's like, come on, like it's going to take people unless you're 5 years old, it's going to take you out of the film.
Is it as bad as like the trailer? I mean, because we saw them in the trailer. Like, how bad are these things? Is it? I mean, is it?
Oh
as
no,
bad
they're
as we've
awful.
seen?
Like they're. Look, you know what it looks like? It looks like, okay, if you were on a ride at Disneyland and they were animatronics, I think they would be fine, right? It's like, because you know they're animatronics and whatever, but it's like to see them like live action and acting in scenes with people, it takes you completely out of it, because it's just the uncanny valley thing, man. It just, yeah, it was so weird.
See, the thing is with like something like Stitch, right? That looks cute. Like they actually feel like they kind of did Stitch justice.
They look more like lawn gnomes here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they do. He kind of like Stitch looks like an alien though. So you can kind of get away with that because you're like, oh, it's like an alien creature. It's not quite, you know, you can kind of get away with the 3D.
Yeah, like Stitch looks like a live action Pokemon, basically, you know?
Right. Yeah, like Detective Pikachu kind of thing, right? It was they were like, oh, like let's make him blue and you know, make him look like Stitch. But these guys, they're human. So they could have had human beings and that's what like movie magic used to be, right? Like this is part of the thing that we used to like Disney for, is that they would go all out. They would like dress up, they would do crazy makeup on people, crazy like looking dresses, like all this stuff, costuming, like everything was so on point with a company like Disney. And now it's like, oh, let's just make 3D. Like it's
and there was a certain realism to that look, right? Because the thing is, yeah, the dwarves are weird, but you got to understand the whole movie looks like this. The whole movie looks like fake. It looks like you're just watching this big CGI monstrosity, man. It's like it's almost like most of the movie feels like a cutscene from a video game.
Oh, so like the Final Fantasy movie with that had Donald Sutherland in it from like decades ago, like
yeah, it just feels like that, where it's just like a big cutscene from a video game.
Oh my God, Ian Sofort says they still do crazy dresses only on men.
That is
on men
true.
mostly. I mean, well, yeah, I guess they did it because they had the crazy costuming on the bandits. But I mean, even like me looking at this right now, like, look, I can tell this guy's dopey. I mean, dopey, and you got this like grumpy, right? Because he's sad, and this
I
guy's
can't tell which
obviously the
one's
big
bashful,
ears.
though.
I can't tell which one any of these other ones are. Like,
And you
they
know what?
all look
And
the
neither
same.
could we. Neither could we watching it. Like I at several times I'm watching it. Like, wait, which one is this again? Which one is this again? So
They
yeah,
don't look the same. They don't look. There's
Actually-
nothing setting them apart.
Yeah, that one in the front, the heavyset one, he reminds me of the toy in that Kelsey Grammer voiced in Toy Story 2, more so than one of the seven dwarves.
That's funny. But yeah, like all of these dwarves, they all look the same to me. I'm like, I don't know which one you are. Like this one, you can tell because he's sad, whatever, grumpy. This one,
I still don't know which one is which. And I saw the movie. I still can't tell you which one is which.
Oh, that's a fail. Like that is a failure on.
And you know what's
Disney's
really
part.
crazy is like if they just would have went with like real little people, it would have cost them so much less money.
It would have cost them less, and it would have gave a more endearing film. Like it would have been like, oh, like, and you know what? I think like Rachel Zegler would have been able to actually act more too. Like it's like, when you're playing off real people, it's different than when you're playing off nothing, basically. And you're like, you're just basically like by yourself, like a green screen, because I'm sure everything was basically green screen anyways. Like there's not, I mean, did they have sets in this movie? Like,
I really don't think so, to be honest with you. Like everything felt just completely fake. And then there's the Queen, which, look.
Oh yes, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Gal. How did she do?
I like Gal as far as, I think she's hot, obviously. And, she seems to be able to say her lines without stumbling too much, in other movies, I mean. But in this one, yeah, I could tell she was having some fun. Like she was like chewing up the scenery. She was completely over the top and overacting her ass off. It got real obnoxious after a while though, because I swear she probably asked that stupid mirror that question probably about 20 times throughout the whole film.
Like, who is the fairest of them all?
Yes, every scene she was in, she was asking the mirror that question. And I'm
really?
like, could they not write her more stuff to say? Because it seems like every time we see her, she's in front of that mirror asking that question.
Because in the original cartoon, she only asks it like twice.
Oh no, she asked it like several. Like, I mean, okay, I'm exaggerating, but I would say at least 10 times in the film. She asked.
How many attempts does she make to kill Snow White? Because in the original story, she'd make 3 attempts. The apple being the one that took the longest.
Okay, so she made 3 attempts. The first time she sent she told the huntsman to take her into the woods to.
So the huntsman is still in this movie?
Yeah. Played by this black actor. I can't remember his name, but she sends her with the huntsman. The huntsman lets her go. Doesn't collect her heart. The second time she sends some troops to go get her, but by that time she already hooked up with the bandits. So the bandits were helping her fight them off and blah blah blah. And then the third time was the apple.
Okay.
That's
okay.
not fun. Like in the original short story, the Brothers Grimm short story, the Queen dresses up as an old lady, and the scenario gives her the apple. And then she also dresses up as 2 other types of characters, gives Snow White a comb that's poisoned. So when she puts it through her hair, it kills her. And then the dwarves rescue her by taking the comb out of her hair. And then she wakes up. And then the second time is kind of like a lace, or what do they call it? Like a girdle type of thing for women. And that suffocates Snow White. And then the dwarves take that off her. And then she survives again. It's like actually a comedy, a dark comedy. So the fact that even this one here is like, no, I'm just going to keep sending other people to go do it, when the reason you were terrified of the evil queen is she was capable enough to actually go herself to try and bloody her own hands, as opposed to deferring it to subjects.
But also,
and she did it all in secret, because nobody knew that someone was going after Snow White, because the queen would disguise herself to go do it herself, so that there'd be no loose ends to accuse her of committing these acts.
Well, the other thing too is the queen was supposed to have all this magic, like all this power, right? And all she ever did with that was like make roses appear in her hand and make the roses like fade away,
wither,
right?
and die.
She did that like 5 times. I'm like, okay, what else can you do? Like, you're supposed to be this powerful witch, you know, and all you've done is like, you know, conjure roses and poison an apple. You
right?
know?
Yeah.
Like, this is why she's not fair. Like,
yeah. And then that whole, okay, so here's what's funny about that inner beauty thing, right? So it was supposed to be, oh, well, you know, Snow White is the fairest of them all because of how fair she is and how just she is and all this other stuff. None of that came into play to the very end. So every time the queen was asking that question, it had to literally do with their looks.
Okay.
Because Snow White was already there with her when the queen would ask her those the mirror those questions, and the mirror would always say, "You are my queen," even with Snow White there.
Oh,
so
okay.
at the very end, when Snow White found her courage, that she became the fairest of them all. So
wait, that doesn't make any sense. So how, like,
why
she
go after
never
her?
said, yeah, like why kick her out of the kingdom then, if the mirror hasn't said that Snow White is the fairest of them all?
Okay, so basically she married the Snow White's father in the beginning, right? Because the mom died and she kind of stepped in. And
Did she kill the mom?
They didn't say. They said the mom died because of illness, so I don't know.
Okay. Poison apple. Okay.
Yeah, they never said. Right. The king marries Gal Gadot, and then he goes off to war and he dies. So Snow White is left with her, and what she did was kind of put Snow White in this like dungeon and gave her chores and made her clean and all this other stuff. And
Cinderella
Cinderella her.
Yeah, stepmom type stuff, right? And then I guess the bandit, the one that she falls in love with, he snuck into the tower to steal food, and he got caught. And then Snow White thought it was unfair, so they chained him up outside to make him an example, and she freed him and let him go. And that's when the queen decided to have her killed. Still, not because the mirror says she was the fairest, but just because she set the bandit free.
Oh shit! So
Yeah.
they have changed a little bit. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's definitely changed from the original concept. I don't
It's also
know if I like
really
that.
like weak method to
Yeah,
That's
to go after
stupid.
her.
Look, if I were to say one positive thing about this movie for sure, though, is that Rachel Zegler does have a decent voice. She could sing, you know. The songs were okay. The songs were pretty good, actually. Nothing like Wicked, but you know, good enough for this movie. And that's it. Like, that's all.
Were you singing one on the way back home?
Absolutely not. There was not one memorable song other than Hi Ho that we all know. You know.
Yes.
Oh
boy.
Yeah,
That's
no,
terrible.
this is a forgettable film.
So you weren't like, I'm wishing on a wish, like
Oh,
when you're going back home.
no. And you know what's crazy? As like, because I was looking at the audience like while I was watching this film, because I was like, I had to know how people were taking this in. Their faces were blank.
Wow.
The people who were there, like, because you know, like after like a song number, like, you know, sometimes people will clap or sometimes whatever. But I'm looking around, just blank faces.
Wow, like because that's such a different experience than I had from like Wicked because I went to the theater to see Wicked and like after like they sang and this is in Mexico, so it was like even like when they sang Gravity, especially people were clapping and stuff,
Yeah.
and like there was a lot of cheers, and I think one of the main one too, like the one where like they finally become friends, like and she's like
Oh,
popular,
popular,
gonna
yeah.
make you popular, that one. People responded to that one a lot in my
Right.
theater. But it was like hearing you say this. Okay, how many kids were in your theater, or was it just all?
No, it was all adults. It was
It was all
all
adults.
critics, basically.
Oh.
And maybe that's why. Maybe
Yeah.
well, not all critics. I mean, there were some, I guess, regular folk there who got a special engagement
Like
ticket,
press pass, but they were all adults. That is the
but they were all
point, right?
adults, and who knows? Maybe, and like I said, and and to be fair, we said this last night on Film Threat that it's probably going to do well with the single digit children, like
Mhm.
children like ages 3 to 8, probably will
Yeah.
probably like it.
Parents
But
will take their kids, or their nannies will take those kids that they're watching for
right,
nice distraction for what 90 minutes to 2 hours almost.
Yeah.
yeah, but parents are going to hate it. They're going to be
Parents are gonna
bored.
hate their life.
They're going to
I
be very
think
bored.
I think this is the interesting thing about the Disney live action movies is I feel like most of the time they're just I'm actually kind of shocked at how much money they make, but it's that era that I mean what else do they got? You know what I mean? Like it's not like Disney's putting out any animated TV shows or I mean like anything really, any movies or anything like they just got this like live action shit. So people are gonna go. Like that's the thing. Like I keep getting shocked at how much money they make, but I'm like, I'm starting to get less and less shocked because I'm like, well, there is no other competition. It's not like they have any animation or anything else. There's no other competition even. Like,
Well,
you
there's
know,
Looney Tunes: The End of the World, which apparently is really like way better than people expect it to be. And
I didn't even hear about
but
this.
really, there's nothing in the theater right now that I think can't compete with it. The problem is though is it's I've been seeing, and you guys have probably saw it too on Twitter. People are posting like these pictures of empty theaters and empty
Yeah.
seats, right? And no one is pre-buying any of these tickets, right?
Mhm.
And Alan Ing from Film Threat, he thinks that it could possibly do Mustafa numbers, right? And maybe it can. I think Mustafa had a slow burn. I think it started out
it
rough
took a
and then
while,
it ended up making like $700-800 million or something like that.
Hmm.
That could happen with Snow White. I don't think so though.
I don't know. It's weird, Dante, because I was talking to my a family member and they have little kids and they take them to live action Disney all the time. And I was like I'm complaining to them like, why don't you show them the original? Like stop taking the live action. And they're like, they don't want to watch the original. Like they just won't. They just won't watch it. Like we're begging them to watch it. They just won't do it. They're like, I want to see the new one. I want to see the new one. I want to see this one. And I think that it's just this generation, maybe like it's not they're just so used to like this 3D era now that they're not willing to
I
sit
get
down and
that.
watch 2D cartoons. So that's why I'm constantly not shocked anymore that these movies are making money because it's like I mean the kids they just want it. They want to go and watch this garbage, which is really sad.
I do think what I do think is there are going to be a good number of like moms, women taking their little girls. They're going to dress them up as Snow White and they're going to take them to go watch this. I think that's a given. I think that's going to happen for sure. But if we're talking like box office, I mean, it's going to do well because there's nothing in the theater, right? Like Novocaine, which came out last weekend, grossed $8 million. That's probably the lowest box office in history.
I heard that was like the lowest box office in history.
That's crazy. Like I've never heard numbers like that. And so it has nowhere to go but up. Right? I mean,
you did call it Mustafa, but it is Mufasa.
Oh, Mufasa, whatever. Mustafa.
Whatever.
Either way, I didn't see that movie, so
I didn't either. I mean, but then again, I don't watch live action Disney, so
yeah.
Real quick, let me get this. Ian so forth. Thank you for the 15. Says the heavy set one. Say it, script. Say it.
The heavy set one.
No, he's talking about this image when we had it up. You called him the heavy set one. He was like, just say the word.
I don't. Oh, you mean fat? But they're
Yes,
all fat,
the
relatively
fat one.
The fat one at the front.
This one.
Yeah.
He's the fat one. It's like, where did we hear that the other day? Because they were like, oh, the F word. Like, oh, it's that big fat woman who was like, oh, I don't say the F word. Remember? Where was that? It was like that podcast with that black guy. What's his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. The really, really famous black podcaster who had that woman that was like suing Lyft.
Are you talking about Club Shay Shay?
No, I don't think so.
I have no.
Okay.
Charlemagne. I think that's his
Charlemagne
name.
the God.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That guy. He had the woman.
He had that fat rapper, that chick, the Lyft driver.
Yeah, the Lyft driver. Yeah,
the Lyft driver. Right.
And she was like, I don't say the F word.
Shit, she should. I'm like, what the hell?
Is she afraid if she says it'll become true? Because that's already happened.
She says it's derogatory.
Dude, they had to pull up a whole bench for her to sit down, man.
Derogatory.
They had to pull up a bench for her.
Yeah, like the sectional of the couch. They had to,
like that's insane.
Oh,
yeah, that's signs that you have a problem, lady.
It was bad.
The fact that she's not allowed on planes is a problem.
You're gonna need 3 seats, not 2.
No, it's not even the seating. It's just the fact that there's not enough fuel to put in that thing to achieve liftoff with her in it.
Oh, geez, I can't take off. Oh no. Thank you, Russell Hall, for $5 as Disney pitch meeting and make the dwarves look like bad CGI garden gnomes that will finger you in your sleep, both places. Bob Iger, allegedly. Oh God.
My thing is though, I
nightmare fuel.
I don't know how many big losses Disney can keep taking at this point. Like that's my whole thing.
I think they can take them in infinitude at this point because it's the theaters that are hurting way more than the studios. Like, just look at the popcorn buckets.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. The theaters are in trouble.
It's true.
Like big trouble.
Because again, the theaters are the ones that they're the first one in to front and co-finance a lot of these films in that pre-sale market. That's why the theaters, when they do their rentals, they collect 50% of the ticket sales up front until their debt is paid off. And then after that, that's profit. But in some of these markets, like they're not doing that well because the stuff that's being put out there, most especially by Disney, is not doing the return that they used to up until 2019. Like Disney put its thumb on the scale of the theater market so heavily that right now we are literally seeing audiences course correct what the investment ratio is from theater to film to distribution, because the fact Disney said, no, every movie has to be a minimum $100 million, $200 million budget, has to bring in $1 billion at the box office. When everyone else in Hollywood and producers were lobbying about this at the peak of the MCU, saying we need to start making smaller movies again, because even though it's the same effort as with regards to putting a bigger budget film, this model is not sustainable. And all of those producers, they're still operating in Hollywood, but they're having a lot of difficult time financing their films because everybody's thinking like it's got to be $100 million. And they're saying, well, I got 20 movies. Each of them are like $10 to $30 million a piece. We can make tons of movie, and there's lots of work for everyone to do. They all want to do it, but they can't gather the financing because you've had a decade of Disney saying this is how it has to be, and everyone has to compete with that. And now that they're failing by way mostly of quality, not really of their metric, but of the quality, so it's not bringing people in. Hollywood is saying, see, we just showed you what happened. They burned themselves out. They can't maintain the quality with these budgets behind them. And now you've got Novocaine, a really low budget movie, made $8 million on a weekend, which in 2012, that would have been huge for its budget ratio. Yeah. But it's now considered like the worst box office in the last 10 years. Well, that's because all these other movies that were huge hits shifted the scale. But that is basically the norm. Like Novocaine should be by the normal metrics of Hollywood that have been around for 60 years prior to the MCU and Disney's acquisition, is a traditional hit. Yeah. It's exactly what it needs to be. And people are going to look at it, and especially on the Wall Street side of things, they're going to look at it and say, well, it's kind of a failure. But they're not even taking into account all the other distribution windows. Like, it doesn't have a guaranteed home on streaming, which means that's another $10, $15 million of just pure profit for that particular production. like it's going to be good. The problem is that we have all of this, like the trades especially, putting so much attention on like one single studio and whether it's hitting a success or failure mark, that it's kind of having this viral infection across the rest of the studio system, where when they do something budget conscious, that's a hit that people like, because it's not making the numbers that Wall Street likes, they're going to look at it negatively when it's actually should be like Novocaine would be a cult classic.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I've seen the trailer. I've read the script. I like the script a lot. I'm going to go check it out next weekend if I can. But it looks like it's a dark comedy.
Yeah, I
And
watched the
something that we
trailer. I
need.
thought it was interesting looking. Like I haven't seen it yet, but I saw the trailer and I thought it was good. I heard Paulie said it was good, but then again, Paulie thinks everything is good, so I'm like,
He's open to a
I
lot of
can't
stuff, but like this is also, I think, the third movie Jack Quaid has been in this year.
Yeah. Because Companion was again, I heard a great movie. I didn't see it, but Robert Meyer Burnett said it's one of his favorites. Again with Jack Quaid, but again, a movie that didn't do well financially.
Yeah, and same with like Honora. It did not technically do well financially, but these are all these are movies that are still playing in what Hollywood's business model is actually, and Disney's playing in a different model. And
there was
unfortunately,
another
the rest of the world
movie.
is looking at Disney's model as the Hollywood model, but it's not.
There was another movie recently as well that did really well, did poorly, but people expected it to do better. But it's like getting rave reviews. Was this? I think it's Black
Bag.
Black Box? Black Bag. Yeah,
Black
that's
Bag.
it.
Yeah, it's a James. It's an MI6 type of
Oh,
spy
the
movie,
Michael
but more-
Fassbender movie.
Yeah.
more traditional spy movie. It's not action centric spy. It's like Mission Impossible spy, like before Tom Cruise got his hands on it, where it's all like subterfuge and playing roles.
What people want, actually.
Yeah,
like,
it's really
it's missing.
good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I
was
want to
gonna
watch
say
that
that
movie.
The biggest problem too with that $100 million thing, that budget thing is, look, with any film you got to do reshoots, right? And then you have a budget, set for those reshoots. If you're setting your standard budget at $100 million, then what are you spending for your reshoots, man? And this is where the Snow White problem comes into play, because a Snow White movie should never cost $300 million. It just shouldn't.
And that's not even including the marketing.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do a lot of marketing for this movie, I don't think, because of that very reason.
Because of Rachel Zegler? Like,
Here's the thing, right? So, a couple of years ago, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, they said the same thing, which is that this is kind of like a more modernized version of Snow White, because that is what Disney told them to do.
Yeah.
Then there's the backlash. Then there's the reshoots. And then what ended up happening? Well, now they're talking a new point. You have to remember, actors are not ever really expressing their own opinions. Someone is telling them to say this, and they're doing it. We don't know what the real opinions of Mark Ruffalo are unless he's talking about fracking, because he's got an investment in a lobby that's against fracking, because that's where he gets all his money from. Because when he makes movies, lawyers, taxes take almost all of it, to the point where he doesn't have much left. So he has to be that advocate on the side. Like when you saw him during the actor strike and he's wearing those slumpy clothes, those are his actual clothes. Like that's pretty weird. He's not wearing wardrobe. I have met heads of studio back in the day who you would think have tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in their back pocket. They actually don't. They just have very well paying jobs, but their expenses are so high that they don't actually have any much for themselves. I have been in a Hollywood studio with a president of a division that was literally wearing a wife beater shirt with a cigarette burn in it and sweatpants, because he didn't have to dress up to go to a premiere.
I was literally I was in the Russo brothers' house because a friend of mine was selling their house. I forgot which Russo it was, but he lives directly across from Brad Pitt, right? I literally saw Brad Pitt taking out his own garbage, man.
Yeah.
You have my full attention. What was he wearing?
So, okay, by the way, his house, Brad Pitt's house is very modest. It's like a regular house, right? Like I because you have this thing in your mind that, oh, these people live in these mansions and they have like all this property. It's like a normal regular house this guy lives in. And so I'm there in the house because the girl I was dating, the real estate agent, was doing something in the other room. And so I look across and I'm like, I see Brad Pitt and he's just like wheeling his garbage out. He's just wearing jeans and like a regular t-shirt. It has something on it. I couldn't read it, but I'm like, wow, that's his house. But again, script is right. And that's Brad Pitt. So I know he has money.
Wait, to be fair, Angelina Jolie's been taking him to the cleaners for a while, so I don't know how much money.
That might be true. Yeah, that could probably
Didn't they just settle after 8 years?
No, you're right, because of the kids and everything. Yeah. So
yeah, he
I
did
mean,
take a break from acting for a while as a result of that too.
But the same thing with Matthew Perry. I was in Matthew Perry's house, his penthouse, and well, I mean, it was a nice penthouse for sure, but it wasn't super huge or anything, So I mean, these, a lot of these people, these big celebrities, they don't have as much as you think they do, because of all the people they have to pay out.
They also want to. I think they also want to live on the DL. At least the old school ones now, they kind of want to live on the DL because they don't want to be on the Hollywood, those pamphlets.
Well, there's the Hollywood Celebrity Hollywood House Maps, which has all of those houses on there anyways. The thing is that also when you hit A-list for the first time, you are encouraged by your publicist, your lawyer, and your agent to start a small production company where their entire purpose is to find you scripts so that you can actually go into it as a producer and actor so that you can keep getting work. I knew a ton of people on Team Downey, and those, I mean, they were divided people because there's the people that were normal Hollywood, and then there's the SJWs that came in because it was of the time that you hired them. Robert Downey Jr., when he got his $50 million for Avengers, and now he's getting $100 million for this back, all of that is going into Team Downey's production company. All of it. He's not going to see a dime. And his wife is going to be the administrator of that stuff because she's really the head of Team Downey Productions. And all they're going to be doing is they're going to be diversifying and financing and finding other scripts for Robert Downey Jr. to get involved in as a producer and as an actor. And that's basically what he's living on. He lives very modestly. What's funny is that up here in Canada,
he went back to Marvel.
Up here in Canada,
well, yeah, I mean, wouldn't you?
I'm not getting any other job. They don't know me.
I've heard from a fairly reliable source exactly what the gimmick is, but I'm not going to dish it here. But up here in Canada, there are.
You can't just say that and then not dish
I will.
it.
No, but
I'm pulling a Jordan Peterson on you. I'm going to make a statement and never follow up with it. There are a ton of mansions up in outside of the Greater Toronto area that are a couple of them are owned by celebrities, but the majority of them are owned by people who have tech companies from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And that's where your big living is going to be. George Clooney has a house in Italy that you would never, that's in a cul-de-sac that is indistinguishable from all the other houses. However, everybody else that lives there are chefs, dentists, fairly decent low-level white-collar workers. And then in the middle is George Clooney's house. And everybody in the neighborhood knows that he lives there, and everybody in that neighborhood just wants to leave him alone because he's got a wife and he's got kids, and he's finally had the family that they actually care about to say you deserve privacy. Because for years he was the big bachelor of Hollywood. Every beautiful woman would date him, and then he finally settled down, and now he's getting privacy for the first time in his life. But,
oh my God!
Yes,
I hope
Hollywood actors, they do not again, they get taken to the cleaners. Because of the high income that they have, the fact that they all have moved out to LA and have LA residencies, and then some that manage to get outside of the state and then commute in to work in Hollywood, they pay a smaller premium, but they also don't work as frequently because even with us being in such a remote world, everybody wants to be able to meet in person, to do the lunch, to do the dinner, all that type of stuff. So you
still have to do the dance, basically, man. Yeah, you still got to meet at the right places for lunch. You still have to,
the list still exists too.
Well, every studio has their short list of 10 to 20 people that they want to work with because it's part of their marketing angle. And it's actually the only reliable part of the marketing angle, which is that, these celebrities will actually bring people to the theaters.
The theater.
But the thing is, there's been so much investment in social media that those influencers are now taking the spotlight away from actual people with talent. And that's why you have someone like Scarlett Johansson saying, I refuse to get on social media because she does not want stalkers stalking her or a publicity team touting out stuff that is against her own ethic. Because if you don't remember, about 8 years ago, she was cast in a role where she was going to play a transgender mobster.
Yes.
And
I
all
remember.
she cared about is I'm an actor, I'm supposed to act. And people went after her. And she's as soon as she saw that, she's I'm not getting involved in social media. The other reason she's not getting involved in social media is that you can be tracked with that a lot more effectively than with your normal phone. And someone might find out who the father of her children are because it's not Colin Yost.
Wow.
Are you saying it's Elon Musk?
No.
Could be. I mean, Johnny Appleseed likes to plant his
Yeah,
mean,
but who
he
doesn't know
floods
through
everywhere.
IVF?
So
ScarJo is notorious for being like Elizabeth Taylor and liking to sleep with people that she works with.
this is true. This is true. She's had many affairs, including with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
Who we're
and
going to
married
talk
him and then
about
had an affair.
next.
Yeah, they
again
were
with
married,
Ryan
right,
Reynolds.
for a little bit.
That's right. They were married for like 2 years, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she found out he's fucking crazy. Um,
And then started sleeping with someone else, and then Ryan, on his
that
craziness, divorced
that
her.
too. That too. Russell Hall for 2 says the toys for this movie are going to be insane. He's talking about Snow White. I guess like, they're all
I
gonna
just
look the
think
same.
I
The
think Disney's
dwarves.
happy to be done with Rachel Zegler. I don't think she'll ever work for that company ever again.
For Disney, no.
You know,
You think
I
so?
don't,
I don't know. Isn't she in talks with about doing something with Marvel now? Apparently, I don't know. That's like there's rumors.
No.
They will never work with her again. And to be honest with you, I don't
Mm.
know if any other studio would work with her at this point. So she might be done.
Well, she's comes from Broadway. She's going back to Broadway.
Yeah.
That's probably where she's gonna stay, and that's probably best
She's
for her.
probably gonna
The
come
problem
back
being
in
is
a
that-
couple years. Like,
Well, the other studios are still interested in her because of her singing voice. The problem is there's not much going on in the way of musicals. The other part too is the only reason Disney is not liking her is because she literally took the ball that they gave her and ran with it as she was told. And then when they realized the ball was bad, they're not looking at themselves for being the person that said,
Oh, no,
yeah,
of
we
course,
told Rachel
yeah.
to do this.
Yeah,
We're
no.
looking at her because you cannot take ownership for your responsibilities in Hollywood. So that's the
Yeah.
only reason they're probably going to distance themselves from her. However, I'm pretty sure that if Steven Spielberg is going to do another musical, she's probably going to be shortlisted because she can sing and he's worked with her before.
You think so? You think
I
they'll
agree.
take a chance on her again?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I do. I think
I don't
that
know.
I think that because it was Script Doctor said, like, and this is what I was actually going to say, like earlier on the topic of being familiar with people you work with. Like Christopher Nolan is doing something really similar with his new movie. Like he's coming out with the Odyssey, and he's
Odyssey, yeah.
casting like so many people he's worked with, including Ellen Page. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the
Yeah.
reason, because once you work with someone and you're like, okay, they're gonna show up to work, they're gonna like put asses in the seats. There's gonna be talk about it, whether it's about like Elliot Page or Ellen Page or whatever. People are gonna be talked. There's gonna be word of mouth. Matt Damon, the entire cast are people that he's familiar with. Like, so it just makes sense to me. There's like this kind of like, especially with the old school directors, it's like this like old school nepotism kind of.
Well, it's
I worked with.
they've
It's not
earned your
nepotism,
trust.
but you know what I
Like,
mean. Exactly.
But
The
that's the only
actors-
that's the only way that's going to work though, is if you have like a figurehead like Nolan or like Spielberg, right? If it's not one of those kind of directors, these
Mhm.
studios are not going to take a chance on this girl again.
No.
Mm.
But the other part too is Hollywood loves a good redemption story, and Zegler
That's
is kind
true.
of on the low end of the atrocity she's committed.
Okay, but that means
for
she has to
other actors.
disappear for a while.
Yeah,
Not
she
Like,
will.
she-
I
disappear.
think
She
She
has to
be
disappear for a
consistent.
while.
Not disappear. She just has to be consistent with being approachable and likable. She has to
But she's
show
not
up
that.
980. The thing is that again, if you're going to, I mean, the other part too is that, and it's actually a detriment to the opposition, which is if you as an audience member can't accept that she's trying to change and that you're hung up on what she said, that says more about you as the audience member than her, because she's the one who is saying publicly, I am trying to change. I am changing my behavior. This is me. And if you're saying, no, I'm going to hang up on the fact that you said weird for kissing a guy 3 years ago.
No, Script.
That is
You-
high
you-
school
You think
level
that's the only
bullying.
thing she said? She's still talking crazy even now.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
didn't she talk like? Didn't she say something about like Trump supporters all being like, I don't know, not good people? Let's just say. I'm
she
just gonna say it
basically was
nicely.
Trumpers dead. She's
Yeah.
still talking about Palestine even now, right? Like she won't shut up. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, no, the Palestine stuff is actually doing even worse, but that's also part of the weird thing that's going on. Because
But the lefties love that though.
Studios don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, the
That's
thing is,
true.
like, the
Studios
studio
don't.
system, they love Israel, and there's every reason for them to love it, because Hollywood was made by Jewish people who are
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like, it's
Hollywood
almost
is-
like
from Broadway.
Hollywood's full of Jews or something. I don't know. Like,
It's almost like it's
almost
almost
like, yeah.
oh my god. Real quick, thank you Shanotsky for $1.99. Says lots of productions make companies for said product. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but they do make movies.
Well, some of the companies. So, like for instance, right now, Village Roadshow is declaring bankruptcy and going out of business, and their library has to be sold for its proper value amount. So they are kind of they're part of that group where they're the ones that always take the financial hit as opposed to the bigger studios. So like Disney has, when you take a look at a Disney film, they've got all those other production companies in there. Those are actually co-financing in addition to the pre-sales, so that it's never really Disney's money that's on the line. And the reason Village Roadshow is failing is because number one, they finance a lot of stuff. They take a lot of risks because they were creatively driven. A lot of the movies that they co-finance, especially partnered with Warner Brothers, did not always perform well. But because of what they did, what happened during the pandemic, and what happened with James or Jason Kilar, I can't remember his first name. I don't care. He's a jerk. Because he did the day and date stuff during the pandemic, and The Matrix 4 was part of that. Never got a chance in theaters.
Right.
Village
That
Roadshow was
guy.
heavily leveraged on that, allegedly. And as a result, because of that day and date deal that caused that such controversy, they are now declaring bankruptcy because they never got to get the theatrical revenues that they should have because of that situation. And what's funny is that they're kind of suing Warner Brothers, but the problem being is that regime of Warner Brothers hasn't been there since Zaslav took over. So they're suing the wrong party. What they really should be doing is they shouldn't be doing a lawsuit against Warner Brothers. They should be doing a lawsuit against Kilar and everything that the people that worked there at that time, because they're the ones that made the decision under Warner Brothers umbrella to day and date that film. Even though it was a terrible film, they still deserve the shot to actually have it in theaters, even when the theaters were saying, well, we might have to close down because of this pandemic thing. And also with the Joker as well, like that part two. The Joker the Joker part two is just something that a vast majority of the audiences were not expecting to see, because they were expecting a serious take on an actual character that would become the Clown Prince of Crime, when what ended up happening is, well, the Joker is literally a fictionalized version of that Luigi guy who in New York killed that
That's
CEO.
true. That
And
CEO.
when you follow the beats of that guy's story and how the world has reacted to him, and you have this split divide of people that love him and people that hate him, the Joker 1 and 2 is following that to a T exactly as it is. And it's basically saying, look at yourselves in the mirror. You create these celebrities of evil repute. And then as soon as the world kind of turns against them, you get all upset. And I'm like, that's why I think the Joker followed the idea, despite what you guys were expecting out there of it being a legit Batman story or something of that nature. It wasn't really always about that. It was about the fact that society creates these people and then tears them down for our own entertainment. And we never considered the ramifications of that person that went through that journey. And that's what it was. And I think in about 5 or 10 years, people are going to actually really appreciate that film for what it was.
I don't think people care about that, though. I don't think people care about that. They just wanted a good Joker movie. Like, have you seen when people like are freaking out over the new State Farm commercials with like Batman and Joker and stuff? They're like,
yeah, because that's
finally
probably the most genuine Batman anything we've gotten cinematically in a very long time.
Yeah, it was 50% closer than what we've ever gotten before.
That's what people wanted. People wanted Joker. Like, that's what they wanted. They wanted
they did. Well, but they have to remember that when Joker was made, it was never about a Joker story. It was retooled as that because that was the only way they were going to get financing to make the film.
Right. But see, that's deceptive, man. Like, and at that point, you're trying to trick your audience, dude. And that's what people had a hard time with.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other part too is you have to look at Arthur Fleck as a character and say, do you really think this type of guy has the potential to be a Clown Prince of Crime? And I look at it objectively, I'm like, there's no way. It's just not there. He doesn't.
I don't know. At the end of Joker, I bought him.
I couldn't, because all he did was shoot a guy on
either.
television. Like, there's no way he'd be the type of guy that poison the water supply or leave a bunch of clues that would like bewilder the police forever. He was just a dude with a gun with clown makeup. That's it.
No. But
there's
that's
nothing
the
impressive about him that made me go, "Ooh, this is going to be the Joker."
But that's the thing. I mean, and I didn't even see it, but like the second
He's like a
one,
Jared Leto cult leader. Like, Jared Leto's not impressive in any way, but he's got a whole bunch of followers because he doesn't look like he ages for years.
No, I disagree with you a little bit, because I think in the first one, what it was showing was that at one point, it's like when you snap, like that final snap, and you finally do it, like you kill somebody, it's something you can never return from. And then, they always say it becomes easier and easier each time. And it became easier and easier for him each time, because then he killed the other 2 cops and everything. It was like, it was a thing. So I could see him actually de-evolving and becoming this crime
But
prince
all
or
he is
whatever
a
you're
guy
talking about.
with a gun. Like, that's the thing. Like, the Joker is way beyond that. Like, that's the point I'm trying to make, is that it's the fact that he did something publicly that enabled a group of crazy people of their own to laud him and celebrate him and then build him up bigger than what he actually ever was. And the point of this story was the fact that no, even though the world can try and build him up to be a big thing, he still has to deliver, and he's not a character that would ever be capable of doing that because this world created him in that image, even though it's not his actual image that he created himself. He never earned it. And that's the point of the story, is that we as society, whenever we look at social media influencers, whenever we look at criminals, whenever we look at politicians, we embolden them to be bigger than they actually are. They step into those shoes, and if they actually don't have the feet to fill them, they fail, and then we turn on them. And that's what that story was all about.
Yeah,
and you saw that with Lady Gaga's character, right? It's like when he decided not to be the Joker anymore.
She's Courtney Love to Kurt Cobain, man.
Yeah, no,
I never saw the second one. See, I refused to watch the second one because I liked the first one so much. I was like, I'm not gonna ruin the first one for myself.
You know what? Smart move.
Sounds awful.
Smart move.
For now, it's a smart move. I think later on you'll probably get the wherewithal to weather what it is trying to say.
Right. Okay.
It's definitely not insulting an audience, but I understand the interpretation of that because a lot of people went in thinking, "Oh, we're gonna now see him. Maybe he's gonna kill everybody in the courthouse." And go on a
I was
rampage
kind
or
of
something.
expecting that. I was expecting
You're
him to
expecting that.
blow up the courthouse.
But there's
Like,
nothing in the first movie to let you as an individual think he's capable of that. Because remember, he's a middle-aged man who lived with his mother, who never had sex with anyone, who doesn't know how to talk to girls, who then snapped and killed a guy on live television. Like that is it.
What happened to
You're
him.
really going to try and convince me that this is a guy who can evolve to become the Joker? It's like, no, he just doesn't have the mental faculties there. Because again, he suffered severe head trauma as a child. He cannot make reasonable aspects. He lives in a delusional fantasy world. The Joker, the gimmick of the Joker is the fact that he projects those images on the rest of the public to fool them, because he's actually not insane. He's actually very sane. He's very methodical. He's very calculating. He's actually a genius. And he's playing the system against itself, because he's claiming insanity because he knows the state will never kill him on that. And if they ever prove that he's not insane, he goes straight to the electric chair.
That's
the joke he's playing. That's why he is the Joker.
Let's talk about another insane person for a moment. And that is Ryan Reynolds.
There you go.
Slowly turning out to be a fucking psychopath as well. So Ryan Reynolds came out the other day and filed a motion to dismiss his lawsuit, his and Blake Lively's lawsuit, but specifically him. Like I guess I think he wants to just be taken out of this lawsuit, but there's no way that could be possible. So I'm going to quickly read through this article so that we can kind of get the nuts and bolts of what the latest is, and then I will read the response to this as well. So it says, Ryan Reynolds asked a court on Tuesday to dismiss Justin Baldoni's legal claims against him, saying that the actor cannot. Hold on, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought I muted my phone, and it didn't mute. Justin Baldoni's legal claims against him say that the actor cannot sue him over hurt feelings. Reynolds, who is married to Blake Lively, was accused in the lawsuit of mocking and bullying Baldoni and using the character of Nice Spool and Deadpool and Wolverine to satirize Baldoni's woke feminist image. In a motion to dismiss on Tuesday, Reynolds' lawyers did not dispute that Nice Spool is based on Baldoni, but said that Baldoni had shown thin-skinned outrage by complaining about it. So they're like just owning up to it. They're like, yeah, we did it. Yeah, we made fun of this fucking
man. Take the mockery.
Take the mockery. Baldoni directed It Ends With Us, in which he and Lively co-star. After the film's successful release last summer, Lively accused Baldoni of sexual harassment. Blah blah blah. We know about the story. Baldoni countered with her and Reynolds, that is to say, they started it. So they came out first and sued this guy for this whole sexual harassment shit. Alleging that they were trying to destroy his career and false allegations. In a lawsuit, Baldoni alleged that Ryan Reynolds had berated him for allegedly fat shaming Lively. He also accused Reynolds of calling him a sexual predator and of pressuring his agency, WME, to drop him as a client, which it did. It happened. It actually did. And the guy, Ari Emanuel, who is the head of WME, came out and literally said, I chose Ryan and Blake over this Baldoni, or what was it, Balgogi guy. And yes, I fired him. So he literally confirmed that.
So agents actually don't employ their representatives. They just represent them. So you can't really fire them, but you can drop, basically saying we are no longer going to work with you or promote you. Very different thing, because if your agent is your boss, that is a conflict of interest, and that is what led to the whole issue back in 2020 with agents becoming producers of the stuff that their clients were working in, which essentially made them their boss, and that caused a huge conflict of interest because now they weren't negotiating the best they could out of the production because they themselves were also the production. So.
Okay, yeah, but they did drop him, though, is what I meant.
Oh, yeah, 100%. They dropped him.
Yeah, yeah. In the motion to dismiss, Ryan Reynolds' lawyers argued that is not defamation if Ryan Reynolds genuinely believes it. The allegation suggests that Mr. Reynolds is genuinely, perhaps passionately, believes that Mr. Baldoni's behavior is reflective of a predator. The motion states, the law establishes that calling someone a predator amounts to constitutional protected opinion. While Mr. Baldoni may not appreciate being called a predator, those hurt feelings do not give rise to legal claims. The motion argues that Ryan Reynolds was not making a probably false statement.
Not making a provably false statement.
Thank you. Of fact, but was merely offering his unabashed negative opinion of Mr. Baldoni's character. Mr. Reynolds has a First Amendment right to hold Mr. Baldoni or any man who Mr. Reynolds believes sexually harassed his wife in a deep disdain, the motion states. The motion alleges that the lawsuit is deficient in many other ways. It is, in essence, a burn book filled with grievances attempting to shame Mr. Reynolds for being the kind of man who is confident enough to listen to the woman of his life and to hold her anguish and actually stand with her, the complaint states. Oh, fuck off.
I honestly, I don't know how this is going to end. Like, where do these people go from here? It's like, really, like who wins and who doesn't win here?
Well, first of all, the lawyers all win because they get paid. But like, really, nobody wins in a lawsuit. But I think that if it comes out that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively did, in fact, like if this goes to trial and the discovery comes out and all of this happens, I think that Baldoni has a very good case and is going to win. And I think that just him winning will be a win for him because he'll be like, I didn't fucking sexual harass this bitch. And these people are crazy, and their reputation is already tanked. Much.
Can he prove that she stole his movie?
I think so. With all of the evidence that has come out, I mean, they've already dropped so much. They're saying that there's even more that they haven't dropped, and they're going to drop in discovery to the court. So,
that's crazy.
It's possible. It's possible. Blah blah blah. Let's see.
This is, by the way, the worst thing to happen for Ryan Reynolds, man. I understand you have to stand by your wife no matter what, but he knew for a long he's known, like, since he's known her, that Blake Lively has always been a poison pill. Mm-hmm. Always, man. Like, if you even Gossip Girl, if you talk to the cast who worked with her on Gossip Girl, they have nothing but bad things to say about this woman. And I get, if you're Ryan Reynolds, you have to stand behind her, even though Ryan is a piece of shit too. He did a better job of hiding it, but now he can't even hide it because of her.
No. Well, he got himself really mixed up in this thing, and like him trying to, force this guy to change the script. And I mean, writing for the script. I mean, Blake Lively literally said, like, my husband wrote that rooftop scene. Like, she literally, she threw him under the bus.
What's crazy is like Taylor Swift had to cut her off.
Right.
as a friend.
Right. It's freaking wild what's happened with these people. And I just think that Ryan has handled it incredibly poorly, because what really he should have done is shut the fuck up and disappear. Like, yeah. I mean, going on SNL and making jokes about it and all of that stuff is a terrible look. He already looks terrible. I mean, he's just looking worse and worse every day. With every passing minute, these people look worse. So this goes on to say it would be perverse to permit Mr. Baldoni to build an entire brand complete with podcasts, TED Talk, books, of his confession repeatedly mistreating women, only to turn around and sue Mr. Reynolds $400 million for simply pointing out in private what Mr. Baldoni has bragged about in public, the motion argues. In response to Reynolds' motion to dismiss, Baldoni's lawyer Ryan Friedman said in a statement that Mr. Reynolds' exploitation of his enormous power in Hollywood continues, this time arrogantly asking to be dismissed from the case despite his publicly documented involvement extending far beyond just being supportive spouse. This is so true because he is all over those texts that Baldoni and his team have dropped, like all over. There's one where he's talking about how much he adores Justin Baldoni, which we're gonna talk about in a moment. Mr. Reynolds was a key player in the scheme defaming Justin on Hollywood, strong-arming WME into dropping Justin as a client, which again was admitted to. That's one of the biggest things I think that they have going for them, is that they have Ari Emanuel literally sticking his foot in his mouth on air on a podcast and admitting that he dropped Justin Baldoni because he is loyal to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, that's wild that he would even admit that in the middle of this
that's
lawsuit.
crazy.
And trying to destroy Justin's career however possible. His fingerprints have been all over this smear campaign against Justin and the Wayfair team since day one. Friedman continued that Mr. Reynolds now attempts to reduce plainly cognizable claims to hurt feelings, sending a clear message that bullying is acceptable after lighting a match. Mr. Reynolds now seeks to run from the flames. It won't work. The Wayfair party's claim against him are real and they are serious. Mr. Reynolds can appear as many on as many sketch shows as he wants and freely and feebly try to make light of this current situation, but we will not stop until he is held accountable for his actions. And that was actually the ones I was going to read about, but they updated this article to talk about the response. So that is the latest on what's going on with these people. Now, I wanted to bring up this little clip that kind of went viral by a straight man who was sick and tired of his wife talking about this case and was like, you know what? I've cracked this case. I know what's going on. This is what's going on. So I just wanted to get you guys' perspective on this guy's theory on what's going on here.
I can tell you what's happening here. I have the answer, right? Normally, this is not the sort of thing I would give two shits about, but every woman in my family is obsessed. So apparently, like fucking junior high kids, they've like leaked all these text messages. And here's one supposedly from Ryan Reynolds. And what's that last line? What's that last line? Oh,
it says, I happen to adore you, Justin. Just for those of you who can't see it. I happen to adore you, Justin.
Seems sarcastic to me.
Could
I
be.
don't think so. But maybe.
Oh, he's gay. Oh, yeah. See, straight guys don't say that. Straight guys don't say that.
That's true, actually.
I'm not some like conservative.
Not to another guy.
And I'm like, men gotta be men. Just straight guys don't say that. They don't say that. And as soon as you look at him in that light, you're like, yeah. And on a side note, I worked in Los Angeles for years and spent a lot of time in West Hollywood doing jobs. Gay guys are great. I love gay guys. There's also bad ones because they're just normal people. I have zero problem. There's nothing wrong with being gay in any way, but he definitely is. Oh, he is. This is from 2017. So Ryan Gosling wins an award, and as a bit, Ryan Reynolds, Andrew Garfield. That's funny. That's funny to steal Ryan Gosling.
I remember that, and I was like, that is really weird. Like, that is a really weird thing to do.
It really is. Look, again, like you said, nothing wrong with being gay, but that's just something guys just don't do.
No.
You don't just grab each other and just like kiss each other like that. That's not even something women do. I mean, they do, but not all the time. I mean, not all of them. I mean,
I don't remember the last time I Frenched my friend. Like,
right.
Just especially on like, you know, a very public arena where another buddy of ours has won an award. Like we're gonna start making out, guys. Like what the fuck? I forgot when this happened, and I remember thinking that was really fucking weird. It was a weird thing to do.
Sling's little moment there. I'm willing to commit to a bit. An impassioned kiss. Okay, Exhibit C. So when you get a beard, a woman that will disguise your gayness, going younger is better. Not only young, but objectively stupid. She's not very intelligent compared to him. He's very quick-witted. He's also very charismatic. Like a gay guy. Gay men they have a light in their eyes that straight men don't have. We don't. There's a twinkle. Okay, that's gay men look like that. Spend enough time around them. I have great gaydar. Straight men look like that, and you might go, "Oh, look at his shirt. Oh, look at his head." No, look at his dead eyes. Straight. Hey, so that's all that's happening. He's a closeted gay man, and that's just when you deny yourself that truth, you're just gonna do weird, crazy shit, and everyone around you is gonna have a hard time because you're like trying to fit this square piece in a circle.
You know, now that he mentions it, though, there were a lot of pegging jokes in Deadpool that I remember. There was a lot of pegging jokes.
Now, have you seen their relationship with actually like Wolverine? Like Deadpool and
Hugh
Wolverine
Jackman?
have yes. Hugh Jackman, who is also apparently not gay. Even
Although
there's
there's been plenty of rumors that
there's a lot of gay
for years. Yeah.
For years. But they've also had like make out sessions and stuff like that, and they hold hands all the time.
Yeah, that's something straight guys don't do.
Yeah, it's something that straight people don't do. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Dante, for confirming that straight men just don't do that. Script doctor, do straight men do that?
No, the only time I say adore is to like, you know, my godchildren, because they're children and, you know, I adore them. Or I sometimes, if my girlfriend's being silly, I'll say sarcastically, "Oh, I adore you." But no, I don't say that to other guys because that's just weird.
It's weird. It's like it would be weird if you just went, I really adore you, Dante. I just adore hanging out with you.
Yeah, no, the guys don't do that. That's like a word we don't even, it doesn't even cross our minds.
No.
I know. That is such a weird
Like
thing.
I can't remember like me ever saying that to somebody, to anyone. Not even a woman I was dating. Like I don't ever remember.
It is a little bit British, like because British people do say adore. Like I feel like British people say adore more than Americans do. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I adore you, darling." Like like they do that. They do that kind of thing. But
do guys say that?
No,
but I don't think men do that to other men. Wait, I think
not in the
Ian
UK,
Soforth was in the chat. Ian Soforth, paging Ian Soforth. You're British. Do men say "I adore you" to other men, straight men?
I don't think. I know the UK uses the word adore a lot more than people in America, and I know that just because I have grandparents that are, you know, Scottish and British and whatnot, and they would say it, but I never heard them say it to other men of a contemporary age. Because again, weird.
Oh, it is
But
weird.
I mean, it does make sense that he might be gay, or at least bi.
Like, well, yeah, you know what? We'll go with that, with a bi, because I feel like I definitely think like Hugh Jackman's bi. I certainly don't think he's straight.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just me.
Or whether I mean, what's that term? California straight.
California straight. That's definitely it.
Like you're able to have a father a couple of kids, but really you're just not into the mother.
Yeah. He's also being deposed, by the way, now for the case. So if this goes to court, I think this is gonna be bigger than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It's gonna be a crazy lawsuit. Russell Hall for 2 says British and gay are the same thing. Oh,
British and gay.
Speaking of gay, this is actually a really good segue to our next topic. Harry Sisson. I really thought this dude was gay. Like, I actually thought he was gay.
I'm still not convinced he's not.
Maybe he's California.
Right.
California straight, I should say. I really didn't think that this guy was straight, but then so lo and behold, the other day this thread came out by Sarah Fields. It says Harry Sisson is convinced. Oh, okay. Harry Sisson convinced 11 different women that he had no roster and respected them for more than their bodies, while persuading them to send explicit photos of themselves through Snapchat, including one from a domestic abuse survivor. What a piece of shit. When the women discovered each other one by one, he called them all insane and attempted to coerce one of them into telling the public that the photos were fake. A request to the reader: set political differences to the side. I believe both sides of the aisle can agree that this is unacceptable behavior from a man-child with collectively over 2 million followers. The thread is here. So, and then she goes on to say, I mean, she has like several videos. Like we can watch this one's like 48 seconds long. We can watch this.
I'm trying to figure out how I want to word a video regarding this. But I think what I'm going to just...
As you can see, though, they're all very young women. Like, I mean, I think they're like 19, 20.
19 or 20, yeah.
Very,
I mean,
very
they're
young.
definitely the target that fall for something like this, because this is like out of this player's handbook, right? And I mean, the only thing he screwed up with is that he somehow wasn't careful enough to let them not find out about each other.
Right. We're going to get back to this right after this chick finishes her words.
I've never been the woman that has called out behavior like this. I've never been...
You're barely a woman,
one of
girl.
these
Like,
people.
you're a child.
And if you have been, fucking props to you. Because I don't think anybody could comprehend how genuinely terrifying it is to do something like this. Yeah. I really... Send me how you stop having fucking heart palpitations. I've been trying to figure out...
That was not the good one. I think the other ones are like longer. Yeah, this one's like 5 minutes. This one's 8 minutes. So I'll just read what this girl says so that we don't have to like listen to them. Carly, one of Harry's victims, has described the situation in the most detail. Summary of the videos: according to Carly, Harry wooed her from the very beginning and convinced her that he respected her for more than a physical appearance. She said, even though she's embarrassed to admit it, that she created a private chat to chat with Harry and was meant for his eyes only, where she shared explicit photos of herself with him. Oh, God. So stupid. He loved it. And he loved it. Of course he would. He loved that I was not entertaining anyone else the way I was entertaining him. Harry told her that she was wifey material and was sold on her wife application. Goes on basically, because I've actually listened to all of these women, so I'll just tell you. They all get played by this guy. They all of them are getting played. He's just going off, you know. He's just a fuck boy that's trying to, you know, stick it into whoever will be, you know, down for the count. And they all were down. They, like, mind you, they all thought they were his one and only. But then it turns out that they're not his one and only, and they all got very upset. So now they're just, I guess they're all like kind of ganging up and trying to take this guy down, being like, this guy's a piece of shit. He told us I was the only one.
By the way, good for them, but also they fell for him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
This is Dante, keep in mind that all these girls are like hardcore lefty, you know, like very lefty girls that like,
If they're so
especially like
lefty, they wouldn't be interested in marriage and a family.
well, that's funny. That's funny that you say that. But they are, and that was just kind of shocking. But this one especially, hold on, let me play this one because this one was interesting. Hold on. This one is the most interesting one because she actually, so like she's like, oh, I'm gonna bring all the receipts, but she actually like talks about some other guy being involved, and then like that Harry was working for, but then like these guys ended up grooming this other girl or something like that.
Jesus,
like that
what
one
the
gets a
hell?
little bit this one gets a little bit weird because she's like, I'm not even like coming out with this stuff to basically kind of like say that this guy's an asshole for playing girls against the other girls. This guy's an asshole because he knew about this grooming shit that was going on. He didn't do anything about it. So that was like that's this girl's accusation. And I think this one's the most serious one out of all of them because the other ones just like are like, oh girl, you're just dumb. Like don't send nudes to dudes that are not like your boyfriend, like I can't understand because these girls, like, I guess they don't have moms or older sisters or dads that are like telling them like, a girl, like you don't give away the the milk because no one's gonna want a cow.
If it's important to you, it doesn't come easy. That's how the lesson.
Correct. So this one though, I believe is the most kind of a weird. Okay, so let me read this one. It says, "This is Hannah. Unfortunately, many content creators on X embedded her video from my thread last night and misconstrued the truth about what she said. Last night on this space we held gave these girls a platform." What is she talking about? Okay, summary. Harry Sisson worked for a young man named Camille Maroon. That's who she talks about. That apparently allegedly groomed this person. According to Hannah, Camille was coaching and potentially grooming a 14-year-old autistic teen in Australia. According to Hannah, she informed Harry about Camille's behavior, and Harry acted as if he was appalled, and said that he's going to report the issue to the FBI. Once he said that those things, Hannah was happy and said, "Okay, I'm glad we can be friends again." And Harry then immediately asked Hannah for nudes, which is exactly what she said. However, Hannah lied. However, Harry lied. He did not report the issue to anyone, and he stayed silent and continued working with Camille. While we're not accusing Harry of a crime, it is important that everyone understands that knowing of a crime and not reporting it for your own benefit is considered a crime in itself. At a minimum, I hope this is investigated. So that's basically probably the most serious accusation, is knowing that somebody was getting groomed and you didn't really do anything about it. Everything else is not really Me Too. Now, I don't know why Sarah Fields is trying to pass this off as like this guy's like doing some sort of Me Too to these women. And he's just like, I mean, he is horrible. Like, don't get me wrong, but this is definitely not a Me Too case. At least to me, it's not like.
Look, he's not horrible for wanting nudes. Okay, that's just a guy thing, right? I mean, he's just being a guy. The thing that surprises me that he wants nudes from them and not from dudes. Like, that's what I'm really shocked about. I'm like,
I'm so shocked that he's not gay. I was like, am I
that's
the
the biggest
only one?
shocker here is the fact that this guy is pursuing women. I didn't think.
I absolutely agree with you. There was another girl though that was a really interesting video that she had made, and then she was like basically saying like she had to leave social media and all this stuff. Like, let me see if I can find that one. She was in one of these threads about this.
See, and he was one of those assholes who, he went after Lauren Boebert for giving a handy in the theater that time, and he tried to takes these weird moral stances.
Yeah, he's such a cringe lefty. Like, if you ever listen to anything he has to say, you're just like, oh God, like shut the fuck
did you ever
up.
see him on Piers Morgan that one time?
Yes. Oh my God. He's almost as bad as Destiny. Like, so cringe.
He's up there. Maybe not as bad, but he's up there.
Yeah, I think he wants to be Destiny though, like or inside
Who wants to be
Destiny.
someone
Either
who
way.
names themselves a stripper's name? Because that's just stupid. I mean, listen, he is. Everybody should have gone after Lowenberg for the hand job and the theater thing, because the way you do that is with the popcorn bucket. You don't do that at a Beetlejuice thing.
Speed script, you know the game. Yes, that's how you do it, man. Like she was just straight up raw dogging it, man. Like
Yeah,
listen,
exhibitionist attitudes are a little sexy here and there, but you have to pick your place. And Beetlejuice at a theater with kids around is not that.
Yes.
That's not the way,
Yeah,
man.
the movie choice also is like should be really
A
called
private
out.
carriage in a Ferris wheel. That's where you do
That's
that.
how you do it. Yeah.
Correct. I agree with all of that. Where is this other girl? There was another girl that she had put on there, and like she was like, I had to leave social media, like all this shit. And I was like, I mean, this just sounds like a lefty problem. Like these leftists sounds like they're just awful. Like they will eat their own so hard. Like if you just, just mess up a little bit, if you just don't toe the line.
There's that saying, right? You can never be woke enough.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You can't be
just
woke
can't.
enough. You are always under fire, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. This is true. Where is that one girl? I don't know why I can't find her now. She was like this Asian looking girl. And I was like, you're way too pretty for this guy. Why did you even get with this dude? Like, gross. Well, actually, none of these girls have actually gotten with him. They just all send him nudes. And then they found out he has an actual girlfriend. And then
this is what I'm having a problem with. All they did was send nudes, right? None of these girls banged him, right?
No. As far as I know, no.
So why are they so upset? Right? It's like if they slept with him, I'd be like, okay, well, that's a reason to be angry. But they just sent nudes, and I'm not saying like, I don't know, like
because they're like, oh, he let us on, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like I feel bad for them because they're so young. Again, like they're so young, and it's just like, I mean, I made a thread. I made a post about this, and I said, listen, I remember when the internet first became a thing, and a bunch of women went on these forums, and then they started realizing that, like, some of their husbands had completely other families in other places. And they started figuring out like, oh my God, my partner's been cheating on me with multiple different women. Like,
right.
They started finding these things out. And then some of them it took like, months or years to track down how many people were involved in these dudes' lives and how many people they were cheating on with. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's terrible. But
no, it is terrible. It's terrible. But
women
it is
have gone
too.
through this. Like women go through this all the time. And when the internet first became a thing, that was a thing where women would go and join forums and figure out that their men have been cheating on them. So it just feels like these girls are just so like they're young and dumb and they're doing dumb shit, like sending nudes to some rando dude. Which I mean, I don't even know what he's promising you. He's saying he's not interested in marriage. He's certainly not gonna bring you up on his platform and to, let you like show for Biden or whatever. Like, I don't know what they're like. He's promising you that you're sending these nudes, but don't don't send nudes, ladies out there. Just don't do it.
Just stop it.
Just stop it. Yeah, like that's exactly what's going on. So as much as I think Harry is a fucking asshole.
And he is.
And he is. He's a piece of shit. It's not a Me Too. He's like, yeah, he's predatory. He's disgusting, but it's not Me Too. Here are some of the receipts of Snapchat provided by other accounts. It is unclear who these Snapchats were sent to. This is hilarious. I don't know why this is so funny. It says, LMAO, see your opinions in this only way. This is the only one that mattered. God, that ass is fat. Looks amazing. Couldn't agree more beautiful. Ew, ew.
Yeah, I'm getting creep vibes, man.
This is so gross. So there's like, these are the Snapchats. I'd fuck you raw after wine tasting, but that's just me. So they're just like.
Did you say after wine tasting?
Okay,
is that what
that's
you said?
funny? But that
yeah, yes. It is.
That's not something a straight guy would say.
Yeah, no. Even
After
a French
wine
straight guy
tasting?
wouldn't say that.
He should have ended it with "I adore you, darling."
God.
Oh my God. So that's what's going on here. You look great. Here's some more nudes. Why do they keep sending the nudes? Stop sending nudes. The verdict is if you look sexy as fuck, court adjourned. Oh my God.
Jesus, man.
Oh my God. These
Also,
are
here's
just
the thing.
youngsters.
If you're a public figure, don't ever send texts.
Yeah.
Just don't do it, man. Like, just
don't do it.
Don't ask for nudes if you're a public figure.
Don't do it. Russell Hall for 2 says, bitches be mad because he called their vaginas icky. Yeah, probably because he's gay. I can see it. One last thing. I forgot to share this when we were on the Ryan Reynolds topic. Apparently Colleen Hoover posted this on her. Colleen Hoover is the writer of the book, just in case you don't know. She's the writer of the book It Ends With Us, and she kind of was like, I'm team, Blake and Ryan. So she posted this the other day, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Because she looks and sounds drunk as fuck on this shit.
She did write It Ends With Us, so I mean,
Rock.
This is true. She did.
Rock bottom for me, or the best thing that's ever come out of my brain. Look at this.
She seems trashed.
Probably. Yeah, she seems lit up.
Pour Diet Pepsi into my ice cubes so that I will have the best Diet Pepsi I've ever had in my life.
Oh, she's lit. She's lit. She's lit.
How it goes.
That's not even alcohol, man. She is on like chill.
Yeah, she's on some
Shut
down.
up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's both.
What did she freeze?
That is some,
because
that's
not
oxy
water.
She froze Pepsi, like Diet Pepsi, and she's like, I'm gonna put Diet Pepsi with my Diet Pepsi, like frozen Diet
That's
Pepsi.
going to taste
cube.
awful because the carbonation is going to be frozen, and oh my God,
So that's what she said. That's
it's going
what
to be
she's
pure
doing now.
syrup. She is lit, man. This is like oxycodone behavior
So
right here.
far, it looks pretty disgusting.
Of course it does.
Oh my God, she's so fucked up.
I've never been that stoned.
I've been around people that stoned. This is how I make a lot of money because I'm like, okay, we got to go drive somewhere, but you got to pay for gas. And then they just hand over their wallet.
Do this. You put water in our water. Do y'all put wine in your wine? I guess you don't drink wine.
No,
with
she is
ice.
fucked up.
I guess you don't drink wine with ice. Yeah, you do. Come to Mexico. It's called sangria. Oh, she's so fucked up.
Oh yeah, she's lit.
I'll do anything not to drink coffee. It tastes just like every other Diet Pepsi I've ever had. But I guess the kicker is in 2 hours when this ice starts to melt. Will it be the best thing I've ever had? Probably. It's gonna be a great day.
Yeah, she's fucked up.
Oh my God, she's like so fucked up. And then she posted this after that.
Like 5 minutes ago when I ended the last video with "It's going to be a great day." Well, then I went into Cohorts, which is my Facebook group, and saw that my boss, Stephanie, put all of my merch on sale for $10 an item. That's like 5 times cheaper than what I paid for each item, which means by the end of the day today, I'm going to be broke as shit.
She's the one who
Thanks,
wrote
Stephanie.
the book.
You better be
Yeah,
careful because maybe TMZ was right. Maybe I am firing all my employees and retiring. Well, I can't retire now because now I'm going to be in the hole by 5 p.m. Even if you hate me, you should go buy a piece because it's a very kind of bad thing. At least I have my Diet Pepsi.
Wow.
It's still going to be a great day because you guys get almost free merch.
I mean, God bless her though, man. I mean, we've all
Like
been there
5
to
minutes ago.
some degree.
I mean, look, it's just the time. Like that, it's the timing of it. Like when you have this insane lawsuit about your book that the movie rights to it, and everyone's wondering what the fuck is going on with you, the author, who has basically backed the two big stars, like Ryan and Blake. Like what you're gonna say next. You get lit and you make some story like that, people are gonna be like, what the fuck? When your book is about domestic violence and people doing substance abuse and what happens when they get lit and beat up their wives. Like what the fuck, dude?
I
Like
mean,
it's so
maybe
bad.
maybe
Such
the
a bad
stress
look.
of the trial is why she's so fucked up. I mean,
Yeah, I mean maybe. It's all very fat.
I'm
It's all
telling you, man.
very fat.
I mean, when I'm stressed out, best believe the gummies are popping. So,
Like when you were
like,
gonna go to that fucking movie yesterday.
well, that's what I did yesterday. Hell yeah, I was like, "There's no way I'm going into this sober."
Oh my god.
Still didn't help, but
Still didn't help. If I get a free ticket, I'll go see it in my living room in a free ticket with a free ticket. I'll do that for Toxic Femme, so I can also review it. But otherwise, I'm not going.
you know
I'm
what?
not going.
Look at it like an investment. Just say you're doing it for your show, which honestly you are anyway.
Yeah.
I would
This is
say
true.
though, watch a very early show so that your whole day's not like just spent. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, like just get it over with.
get it over with. Catch the early show you can.
When what does it say? When Nina's stressed out, she takes a nude pic and sends them out.
To Harry.
That's exactly what I. That's how I at the end of a really hard day. That's what I like to do is take some nudes and
And send them to Harry.
send them out to like different people. That's me. You got me. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming to hang out with me today. It's been fun.
Yeah,
It's
it
been
was
fun.
good. It was good.
Dante, you're gonna have to come back every time there's a movie I don't want to watch, and you go and hang out with Chris.
Yeah. I'll give you the 411, man.
I did watch. What's it called? Captain America.
Oh.
After you told me it was just okay, I was like, you know what? If it's just okay and it's not terrible, then maybe I'll watch it. So I did watch it, and it was just okay.
Right? It was just okay.
It was just
Wasn't
okay.
the worst thing I've ever seen. Wasn't the best thing.
I did love Harrison Ford because I think he's hilarious. He did look like he was having fun with the movie.
You know what? I don't care what anyone
rare.
says. He didn't phone it in.
No, he didn't.
He didn't phone it
really
in.
good. I was having fun watching him. I was like, this is the most fun I had was watching Harrison Ford on the screen. I was like, this is it's definitely better than Indiana Jones. And like if you want to see like Harrison Ford in something.
Don't ever get me started on Indiana Jones, man. Me and Chris and Alan went to that premiere. We actually went to the Disney lot to watch that. Where they wined and dined us, by the way. I mean, they put out a spread for us. We had like wine and shit. They were trying to butter us up, man, and we still walked out of that movie pissed. We're like,
hilarious.
dude, that was bad.
But that like the movie though was okay. It certainly was all over the place. Like I couldn't tell. Like there was a bunch of shit that happened, and I was like, that guy would be so dead. Like I like no. Like that is so he would be so dead if like the Hulk did that to him. Like for reals.
Steve Rogers would have been messed up if the Hulk hit him the way that I'm like, what are we doing here?
The part about the movie that pissed me off was definitely the relation to Captain and the Woke Soldier, because like I said, it's like all these Disney movies, man, all these Marvel movies are all connected to the other stuff. Like if you didn't know who Isaiah was, you wouldn't be so fucking lost. Like
and honestly, that's been their biggest pitfall. You know, I mean that's why Multiverse of Madness failed.
Horrible.
Because if you didn't watch WandaVision, you would have no idea what was going on.
No clue.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. And it was the same way with this. It's like, I mean, I thought Isaiah was great. Like the character was great. I really liked him. I liked the actor. I thought he did great. There was definitely positives about it, but it's just so sad that they're like all, you're like, oh man, I'm getting like breadcrumbs over here. But it used to be such great films with like the MCUs used to be so great, and now I feel like I'm just getting like, oh, here's some breadcrumbs to. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it's okay. Yay!
I think Disney Plus has hurt their brand so much. But at this point, they got to keep feeding the beast. Like they can't stop.
No, they can't. Have you guys seen the new Daredevil?
Yeah, I actually like it. I think it's actually a really good show.
I haven't watched it yet.
Some people have problems with like they keep comparing it to like the Netflix show, which I get, but I think it's standing pretty well on its own right now.
It's doing better than it did on Netflix because Netflix dropped their entire season at once back in 2015. They got 4.4 million views. Disney Plus got like 7 and change just for the first 2 episodes. I mean, that's an increase, and that's what Disney's going to actually like say. Yeah, look at that. Our show did better than Netflix, and Disney Plus has fewer subscribers than Netflix did back in 2015. So they're going to call that a win. But the other part too is that when you put it up against other Marvel properties, it is the lowest of them all.
Sure.
And that's something that's going to be really hard for Disney to kind of reconcile with, is the fact that, this might be the best thing they've put out on Disney Plus in a long time, but it's coming at a point where they're not able to really capitalize on it.
Right.
Russell Hall for 2 says, holy shit, that was your butthole. That's right, Russell. That's right. Take it all in, Russell. Take it all in. I'm sure you'll have really pleasant dreams tonight. Thank you guys again for joining me. It's been a fantastic time. And I will be back on Friday for my good news show. Verbal Riot, aka Dante. Tell the people where they can find you and what you got coming up next.
Yeah, so guys, I just put up my review of Snow White today. So you guys, if you want to catch my long-winded review of it, it's
his
on
honest
right
review,
now.
not some
My
show
honest
ass review.
Yes. And tomorrow night I will be on the Critical Drinker show. So I'll be you can catch me there talking about Snow White again.
You're gonna go on the you're gonna go to the bar, his bar show.
I'm going to the bar and gonna yak it up with those boys. And you can always catch me Saturday nights on Yellow Flash as well. That show is a little unhinged, so
the Flashcast, yeah. Dude, every time I come into Flashcast chat, sometimes like for some reason Tom is going on a fucking like I mean he's just losing his mind, and I'm like I'm getting a little worried about Tom because I'm like, bro, you're gonna have a heart attack. Like you know
what's funny about that? Tom is usually the most sober one on Flash.
Like literally every time I walk in, he's like going like ape shit on somebody about something.
There's times where
I'm
thinking he's gonna have a stroke. I'm like, Tom, you gotta relax, buddy.
I think that all the time. I feel like he's gonna have some sort of heart attack or something. And then he tells me he has blood pressure problems, and I'm like, you need to stop yelling. Like
poor guy. That's take it easy.
I mean, I love the guy. He needs to calm down. I want him to live like way longer than he's going to be if he just continues like this.
Hey, Tom is a passionate guy. So
he's very passionate.
He's a passionate man.
Russell Hall for 2 says you should really take steps to tighten that back up. I don't know what you're talking about. My back is perfect. So that means that wasn't my news that you were looking at. So thank you. So there we go. And then Script Doctor, please tell the people where they can find you and what you got coming up next.
Sure. So you can find me on the Twitter X's at Script Doctor PhD. I also have a YouTube channel where I do a weekly show called Scripts on Saturdays, where I and a special guest read screenplays that are circulating around Hollywood, looking for a home. A couple of them have actually been purchased and are being put into production. One is called How to Save a Marriage with Robert Pattinson has been signed on. And the other one is Madden that Nick Cage signed on. So those are some of the scripts that we get firsthand look at and we evaluate. And then who knows, there's a decent chance that in the following year or two, one of those scripts that we discussed will be put into production and hit theaters. So you will get an early hint at what's being made that you won't find anywhere else on YouTube.
That's really cool. Thank you guys both again, and thank you to the chat for hanging out with us tonight. And thank you, thanks to those of you who super chatted, became a member, gifted memberships, all that good stuff. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.